I don't care how much friction there is between us and our parents right before college. Most of us know that they'll miss us, and that they're sad when we go. But that's nothing compared to the way they feel if we don't come back.
That's it. And now I'm Gonzo. I want to thank my guest, Tommy Lasorda. Coming up on the show tomorrow, we'll talk some football. Curtis Enos, first-round draft selection of the Chicago Bears, will join us, as well as Boston Celtic point guard Kenny Anderson. That is tomorrow on The Last Word. You don't want to miss it. Thanks a lot for joining us. From Los Angeles, I'm Jim Rome. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Fox Sports Detroit, home of the Tigers.
The IHL Turner Cup Conference semifinals began last night. Game 1 between Chicago and Milwaukee. And the Wolves, shorthanded, scored the first goal of the night by Tim Berglund. The league's top scoring team came out hot in the second period as Scott Pearson made it 2-0. But Milwaukee's power play in the playoffs continues to be potent. Jeff Nelson with the rebound goal, and it was a 2-1 hockey game. But Chicago would win game 1, and they're looking for their 12th straight victory at home tonight on Fox Sports Net. There are now 8 teams left in the quest for the IHL's Turner Cup, and 2 of the teams reside just 90 miles apart, the Milwaukee Admirals and the Chicago Wolves. Tonight in the semifinals, Game 2 from the Rosemont Horizon here on Fox Sports Net. Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Goldberg, and welcome to our IHL Turner Cup Playoff Game of the Week. They are calling this series the War on I-94. Al Sims, the Milwaukee head coach, has said the Chicago Wolves are simply the best team in the league, and we have to play our best to have a chance to defeat them in the playoff series. A team that they say has no weaknesses, and certainly Chicago has shown no weaknesses so far in the postseason. You see our U.S. Airways Western Conference brackets, Chicago and Manitoba. That one only lasted 3 games, and Milwaukee with the upset in the first round, defeating the Houston Aeros 3-1, and thus these 2 teams meet here again tonight. Joined as always on a Saturday night by Mike Greenley, I guess you can say, for Milwaukee, right out of the frying pan into the fire.
What Milwaukee has to do to get past the Chicago Wolves, the same thing they did to get by the Houston Aeros, and that is play very physical, take advantage of their power plays, and stay out of the penalty box themselves. The only problem is they're able to shut down Houston's top line. The thing with Chicago is they probably have the best depth in the whole IHL. They have 3 top lines. It has been their strength all season long.
Well, certainly when you get to this point of any hockey season, you have to talk about marquee players, and there are a ton of them on the ice tonight.
Well, there certainly are. You look at Milwaukee, they have some pretty top players right there. Jeff Nelson, he had 2 goals. His first 2 in the playoffs last night were power play goals. Of course, you can't forget Brian Felsner. He has 2 goals in the playoffs. Again, both on the power play. That's definitely a key. And Sapola, he's a forward, but he's going to play defense on the power play, and he adds a lot of punch. Talk about a guy who adds a lot of punch. So Steve Malte for the Chicago Wolves. 20% of his points came against the Milwaukee Admirals this year, and Eric Fenton for the Milwaukee Admirals said, I'm going to hit him. We are going to hit him. We got to slow Steve Malte down.
Now, Steve Malte plays on that great line for Chicago that came together late in the season. They are dynamic, and they will test tonight Danny Lorenz, but it is very true. Milwaukee would not be a second round if it weren't for the efforts of Danny Lorenz.
Well, Milwaukee is going with a pretty traditional goaltending system. 1 goalie, and why not? Lorenz started the playoffs with a shutout, and he is the backbone for their chances against Chicago. John Anderson says unique situations call for unique responses. Splitting time are Wendell Young and tonight's starter, Stefan Beauregard, 1996's IHL MVP.
Well, both goalies were hurt late in the regular season, but they're back, they're healthy. It's a good problem to have. These teams know each other very well, meeting 12 times in the regular season. And for more on that, let's check in with Jim Blaney.
Mike, this may be the most intense rivalry in the entire IHL. These two cities just separated by an hour and a half up I-94. 12 meetings between these two teams so far this year, 6 of them coming in the final month of the regular season. And then there's this that's been added into the fire. An ad that ran in 2 Chicago papers this week. The Milwaukee Admirals saying to Wolves fans that your team is slow, clumsy, and ugly. And not only that, the Wolves fans had better get out to the horizon this weekend and see their team play, because if they don't see them this weekend, they may not get to see them again until next fall. Never a dull moment when the Admirals and the Wolves get together. Back to you.
Well, thank you, JB. The power of positive thinking, I suppose, as we continue the IHL playoffs tonight, live right here on Fox Sports Net. Stefan Beauregard gets the start.
Out of the blue, Upjohn invites me to help him test the new Rogaine. Okay. I hated this spot. I said yes. This new Rogaine Extra Strength for Men is more concentrated. It gets more to the root to grow more hair. 2 months in, it's working. My wife's saying something's happening, but maybe I'm just lucky. What about the other guys? Listen to this. 45% more hair than with original Rogaine. 45% more hair with the new Rogaine. It's the ultimate spot remover.
I have a lot of fun playing characters that are impulsive and dramatic, because the real me is pretty basic. I'm even a little practical. Like a while back, I noticed I had some flakes. So naturally, I started using Head & Shoulders. Of course, it helps keep the flakes away. And if it leaves my hair looking like this, why mess with a good thing?
Head & Shoulders changes dandruff problems
into beautiful hair.
We all have something to contribute. Some are blessed with speed. Some have guts. There are those with agility and others with power. But there is one thing we all share, a dream. And although it weighs only 30 pounds, it'll take the strength of an entire team to hoist it.
The IHL Turner Cup playoffs are brought to you by Bud Ice and Bud Ice Light, the official beer sponsors of the IHL. Rogaine, extra strength for men. And by Bauer, leave an impression.
Well, that is one of the most familiar voices in the city of Chicago. Wayne Messmer, now part of upper management here with the Chicago Wolves, a longtime fixture in the Chicago Stadium, singing the national anthem prior to Blackhawks games. Tonight he's got the Wolves on their mind, and so do we, as we are set for Game 2 here on Fox Sports Net. And not a surprise at all that Danny Lorenz, the 28-year-old from Murrayville, British Columbia, once again gets the start for Al Sims's Milwaukee Admirals. Lorenz, so far in the playoffs, has been outstanding. Was not outstanding during the regular season, but he has certainly, as they say, picked it up a notch here in the postseason. And as Mike said, it's a good problem to have. Stefan Beauregard gets his second start of the playoffs. He has won 8 of his last 9 games overall after missing the entire month of March with a hand injury. Wendell Young may start Game 3. At this point, we do not know, but Wendell Young did get the win last night, as he has been very impressive, allowing just 3 goals in his 4 games played so far here in the postseason. John Anderson, the head coach of the Chicago Wolves, and some great ties is John Anderson, a couple of years ago in Fort Wayne, played for Al Sims, who is the head coach of the Milwaukee Admirals. And so they go back a ways. Al Sims, of course, won a Turner Cup with Fort Wayne, won a couple of them, in fact, and is back to the IHL after a year of disappointment in San Jose as the head coach of the San Jose Sharks. Our referees tonight, Rob Martell, and the linesmen, Neil Levin and Stephen Campbell. Rob Martell has a wireless microphone on his uniform tonight, so we will check in and hear the thoughts of our officials from time to time this evening. It is game 2 between Chicago and Milwaukee. And we are set to get it underway. Jamie Baker's line. The checking line, if you will, with Marinucci, Baker, and Breslin. Starts for Chicago, but it's a checking line who can score goals, and they have already here in the postseason. Chicago in the home white uniforms and Milwaukee in the traveling blue uniforms. These two teams played game 1 last night. John Anderson said it was a spirited contest. Shot from the point. We're going to have a quick penalty called. And so we have not even played 26 seconds, and we're going to see our first man advantage situation.
Well, that's one thing that Chicago is so good at, is using their speed to draw penalties. And I think that's what's going to be the situation. It might be coincidentals as both boxes are open here, but right away as Chicago wins the draw and get the puck down the ice, Rob Martell is not waiting to put guys in there. And
penalty is going to go against the goalie, Danny Lorenz, for goaltender interference at just 25 seconds of the first. Take a look at our Rough Cut power play numbers. Tonight's power play statistics are brought to you by Rough Cut Beefsteak. Beef up with Rough Cut in a convenience store near you. These are the postseason numbers. Chicago last night 0 for 6 with the man advantage. And Chicago's power play was very potent in the first round against the Moose of Manitoba. Coming in at nearly 31% with 8 power play goals. 8 of their 10 goals against Manitoba in the first round scored with the man advantage. And Tom Tilley, number 21, is a key component at the blue line with the man advantage for the Wolves.
well, Tilley actually used to play for Milwaukee a couple of years back, and now he is doing some quarterbacking back on that tough Chicago power play.
There he is, and the shot deflected in front by Mike McNeil. Now Bob Nardella feathers it to LaRouche. He was handcuffed with the pass and could not get a good shot away. At the point, it's Tilley, Nardella, Rogers, LaRouche, and Malte are the forwards. The shot high and off the blocker of Danny Lorenz.
That's a combination you're going to see a lot of, and that is the pass down to Malte, and he will either elect to shoot it or try and feed LaRouche, who's on the porch in front of the net.
Here is LaRouche again, trying to feather it in past Ken Sabrin, and the defenseman helps Milwaukee to clear. 1 minute left on the penalty here, given early in the contest to Danny Lorenz. Chicago works it through the neutral zone. Malte flies it around the glass. McSween tried to play it against Steve Martins, playing in jersey number 26 tonight for Chicago. Formerly wears number 14, the Harvard graduate. And cleared once again. Matt Martin did not play due to a suspension in game 1. He starts the breakout. Martin's on the forecheck on McSween, and Lorenz forces the stoppage with 26 seconds left in the man advantage.
I think both of these teams this season victimized each other on the power play, on the man advantage. But the thing is, it's an interesting story just as a regular matchup. You have a team that's separated by a good 14 points during the regular season, but they only were separated by 3 goals in all 12 seasonal meetings. These two teams play pretty tough against each other. You have a speedy, talented team against another rugged, tough, solid Milwaukee Admirals.
Kevin Dahl, shot deflected by Martins, saved by Lorenz. Steve Martins was down looking for deflection, almost able to score the first goal of the night. Dahl keeps it in momentarily at the blue line, now gathers it in the neutral zone. Worked ahead to Martins, he stops. And an offsides called as Scott Pearson stepped ahead of the play, tangling with Jason Sapola.
Well, Kevin Dahl, one of the big factors for Chicago's success this year. played for the Calgary Flames and for Phoenix in the NHL with about 4 or 5 years of NHL experience. But he has had a kind of a unique situation in that he's had to adjust NHL to IHL, not so much for speed and all of that, but mostly because Kevin Dahl logs a lot of ice time here in the IHL with the Chicago Wolves. But when he played up in the NHL, he did have some spotty play, and so having to adjust that way has probably been the toughest thing for him, but he has adjusted well as he's played a lot of time for the Chicago Wolves back on the blue line.
Oh, in front of the net, Steve Tuttle tried to get a hold of it. Stefan Beauregard not forced yet to make his first save of the night. 2 shots generated by Chicago on that power play. Scoreless early here on Fox Sports Net. Jamie Baker, a longtime NHL veteran. Mark Hussey works it across the blue line to Shannon Finn. And sent into the zone by Kelly Fairchild. Beauregard leaves it for the newcomer, David Kravich, who played just 3 games in the regular season with Chicago, coming up from the East Coast Hockey League. Kravich, number 2, works on Fairchild. Marinucci picks up the loose puck and flips it back into the neutral zone. Sent on net by Fairchild and kicked out of play. So Chicago opens up the game 0 for 1 on the power play, and we are scoreless early.
So what are we going to do today, Matt?
Shave it off, all of it. Just
Okay.
it's just this dandruff. It goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back.
Well, we can take care of that.
Head and Shoulders?
With regular shampoo, flakes can keep coming back, but Head and Shoulders helps prevent flakes before they start. You may never see flakes again.
And your hair looks great.
Glad I didn't do something stupid like shave my head.
Head and Shoulders changes dandruff problems into beautiful hair.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big. And Days Inn, whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
This is the first ever postseason meeting between Milwaukee and Chicago, but as we've mentioned a couple of times, this team knows each other very well. Chicago winning the season series for the first time in franchise history. They won the last 2 games, in fact, of the regular season against Milwaukee to get that 7-5 advantage. And Steve Malte scored nearly 1/5 of his total points against Milwaukee. Rebound in front as Beauregard made the good save and Felsner tried to hop on the rebound. Now Matt Martin behind the net. And back into the neutral zone, chased down by Steve LaRouche. McSween will get there first for Milwaukee. Off the boards to Brian Felsner. Check behind the net. Lorenz looked for it. LaRouche parked in front. This line of Rogers, LaRouche, and Malte, arguably the best line in all of the International Hockey League, and they love to do one thing, Mike. They love to cycle the puck and put constant pressure on their opponents. They had 7 chances in the offensive zone last night as a line themselves, which is some of the coaches from Milwaukee told us is way too many.
Well, you can either dump the puck in, go and chase it and work it, or you can get guys like Steve LaRouche and Malte, as you said, to cycle the puck around and move it around down in the corner. It's a system that really works well. It causes movement, and when you're playing against a team like Milwaukee who have a lot of big defensemen, you want to get them moving, because if you get them moving, you can get them out of position, and that's when you have a speedy team like Chicago with a lot of talent, it seems to work well, and you're going to have to shut down that line as well as the other 2 strong lines that they have if you're going to have a chance of beating the Chicago Wolves.
Now Malte certainly likes his new line mates who came over from the Quebec Fall very late in the regular season. Another stoppage with 15:49 here remaining in the first period. Chicago 4-0 in the postseason. They were the best in the regular season as far as wins were concerned, with 55 victories, 113 points, best for 2nd overall. Milwaukee coming in as the number 7 seed. John Anderson has said, though, you know what? There are some matchups which are dangerous. Manitoba turned out not to be a good matchup against Chicago, but Milwaukee has always played the Chicago Wolves tough. John Anderson is aware of that.
So far, he's 2 for 2 on tough matchups, it looks like.
Beauregard is Fenton. Works it back behind the net, picked up there by Jeremy Millimont. And cleared back into the neutral zone by Scott Pearson. Skated down by Trebojevic around the boards to McNeil. He lost it. Pearson gets it for Chicago and just flips it back into the Milwaukee zone, but an offsides is called.
One thing that Milwaukee did say they are going to have to do in order to beat Chicago is use the body. That's something that a big team like theirs has to do. And Al Sims has the ability to get players to play for him. They play hard for him. And that's one thing Milwaukee does do is work hard. They have a great work ethic. And they know they can't go up and down with Chicago. I think they coming in and realizing that gives them an advantage already, because they're not going to try and outskate Chicago. They are going to try and pulverize them into the boards and then pick up the pieces afterwards.
In a very similar fashion to what they did in the first round against the Houston Aeros, winning that series in 4 games. Featured last Saturday here on our Fox Sports Net IHL Turner Cup playoff coverage. Tripping penalty forthcoming as Mark Hussey hit the ice, and Milwaukee will have the man advantage for the first time tonight.
Jamie Baker, as you mentioned, he's part of the checking line, but he's not too much of a checker. Actually, he was a key component of the Chicago Wolves this year, and then when he wasn't here, when he was with the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Chicago Wolves had trouble. You look at the penalty right here, down in the corner. Hussey will try and move the puck, and it's that poor checking line of Jamie Baker's that really gets some work done. And in doing so, they were able to maybe turn the puck over, but pick a penalty in the meantime. And so it's Milwaukee who will have their first power play of the game.
Milwaukee's power play outstanding so far here in the postseason. Running 3rd in the postseason rankings at exactly 25%. They have scored 10 power play goals, including 2 last night in 8 opportunities against Chicago. And remember, the majority of those power play goals in the first round coming against the Houston Aeros team, which had the top penalty killing unit in the regular season, where Chicago in the regular season ranked 10th, about middle of the pack in the International Hockey League. Sapola is an important element on the power play for Milwaukee. The forward will play the point. Nelson is up front. Sapola is at one point. There is young Jarrett Dooling to Mark Hussey. Hussey throws it towards net. Rebound in front. Backhand just wide of Beauregard. And that is what Milwaukee likes to do. Keep it simple, send the puck at net, and try to get a rebound.
Well, the thing is, everyone thinks if someone has a good power play, they must be doing something really fancy. But it's not true. As you look at Milwaukee, the way they work the puck, Dooling gets it to the point. What do? They don't play with it. They just get it towards net. Watch this rebound. Comes right back out. They'll get a couple whacks at it. Those are the kind of pucks that go in the net. Those are the kind of pucks that went in the net for Milwaukee when they played against Houston. Simple hockey, a lot of times, is effective hockey.
Face-off win, Shannon Finn tried to flip it towards Beauregard. Just kept it in, but it's going to be cleared out by Tim Berglund. And Shannon Finn, who played his college hockey down the road in downtown Chicago for the UIC Flames, knows this city very well, and obviously knows Chicago and the Wolves like the back of his hand. This is game 2. We're scoreless. First period. Shannon Finn at the point. Shot stopped nicely by Berglund. To Tim Breslin. Breslin across the line, just fires it at Danny Lorenz. He kicks it aside. He'll shoot it in front of the net again. Picked up by Tom Tilley. And still in front. Milwaukee a little lackadaisical in trying to play the puck out of their own zone, and Chicago taking advantage. Nardella the double pump. And Lorenz with the stick. Eric Fenton overskates the puck as Steve Malte puts a little token pressure on. Penalty has come to an end. Both teams back at full strength. Tilley with a hit on Milwaukee's Jason Sapola and a stoppage in play.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to see a physical series. Both teams predicted physical, good hockey. And there's no love lost. When you see a team during the season as many times as these guys have seen each other, it just makes for good rivalry.
Now, what a deep team, too, Chicago has. Probably the deepest team in the IHL. Al Sims said the Chicago Wolves have guys sitting in the stands that would be first or second line players for most teams.
Well, you even said yourself that the checking line, the so-called quote-unquote checking line for Chicago. This is a checking line that can score. I mean, you know, you can't just say that these guys are out there to muck and grind it. These guys can be out there to play good defensive hockey, but they are able to put some points up on the board as well.
And Chicago certainly did that in the regular season. They led the International Hockey League offensively with 301 goals scored. Tuttle on the forecheck. McNeil. And here comes Chicago. Pearson leaves it for Alexander Seamak. Seamak. Now it's Kravich looking to center. Pass was broken up. And here comes Milwaukee through the neutral zone across the line. It's Tomlak. Tomlak waiting. Lots of time. Shot, score! Dean Trebojevic has put Milwaukee on the board. The Admirals lead 1-0. He had all kinds of time.
That is one thing you do not want to give anybody, especially in the playoffs, and that is time to pick their spot and put it where they want it. And Trebojevic just gets this nice pass across the slot, and he does a great job. Watch the Tomlak drive into the zone. He is looking. His head is on a swivel, and the thing is, nobody picks up the late guy. Right there, driving through the zone. Everybody went to the far player on the other side, and Trebojevic was able to walk in, and then he went upstairs. Keep in mind, Beauregard is a southpaw. He catches with his right hand, so that shot normally would go over a goaltender's glove hand. Finds this vulnerable spot over the blocker on Stefan Beauregard.
Well, Chicago struck first last night on a shorthanded goal by Tim Berglund, and Dean Trebojevic gets Milwaukee on the board first here this evening in Game 2.
Hey gang, Larry King here. You know, I talk to men all the time about different topics, celebrating 10 years of talking about politics, sports, and the movies. But nothing's more important than when I talk to men about their health. You know that thousands of men have heart disease in this country and don't know until it's too late? You take it from a guy who's been there. You can't afford to ignore heart disease or any health problem. That's why I'm telling everybody to take time from a busy schedule to talk to your health professional about your risks for heart and other health-related problems. But becoming healthy isn't just about disease. It's about getting your health on the right track, no matter what it takes. Whether it's starting a regular exercise program, having a health checkup, or improving your diet, make a commitment to your health and stick to it. If you want to learn more ways to improve your health, call the toll-free number below for a free guide on healthy living. Remember, guys, you don't have anything if you don't have your health.
Fox Sports News is a heavyweight.
Weeknights at 10.
Chat rooms, live cybercasts, and links to your favorite IHL partners. Log on today, www.theihl.com. 1-0 our score on the goal by Dean Trebojevic. High shot towards Danny Lorenz, and he knocked it down. Mike Tomlak gets the lone assist for Milwaukee. Martin skates it down, and icing is the call.
Well, that goal actually came on a delayed penalty, even though Milwaukee didn't have an opportunity to get Lorenz out of the net. They came down and scored off the rush. That's something you don't see Milwaukee do as often as you'd think. The Milwaukee Admirals are the type of team that come down and outwork you in the zone, get outman the puck there and then get it to the net and score. But they did something very interesting here against the Chicago team, and that is they were able to come down and outman them on the rush.
LaRouche controls the faceoff, centering pass, and broken up in front by Mike McNeil. McNeil to Beauregard. Now it's Tilley, and another penalty forthcoming. So another power play opportunity forthcoming here as Chicago's number 7, Bob Nardella, a Chicago native from Melrose Park, goes to the penalty box.
Chicago, once again, you'll see Beauregard just going to clear this puck, and right there, busting into the zone. You're going to see that type of call quite often. That is obstruction, and it will likely be called obstruction hooking. It's not just hooking, but and he's any sort of interference on a player driving to the puck.
Big shot, knocked down in front, rebound, bounced over the stick of Kelly Fairchild. Now the back of the net, Fairchild tried to work it. Chicago will look to clear, they do. Chris Marinucci. So off the face-off, a good scoring opportunity once again for Milwaukee. A big shot from the point by Mark Hussey. Jason Sapola and Mark Hussey. Now it is behind the net. Chicago looking to center. Brent Peterson, first time we have mentioned his name tonight. Of course, he spent the last couple of weeks of the regular season in the NHL with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Brought up the ice and sent in by Fairchild. Beauregard does not play it. Berglund. Now Dahl is back. Behind the net, Chicago. And they will clear it once again. 1 minute, 7 seconds left in our rough cut beefsteak power play.
1 minute!
Milwaukee. Their second power play here in the first period. The captain, Nelson. Nice cross-ice pass on the tape at Felsner's stick. Flips it on the backhand. Jarrett Doolin can't control. Flipped in by Hussey. Cleared out again by Chicago. Good penalty kill thus far by the Chicago Wolves. Chicago trails 1-0. As Don McSween, the veteran, works it ahead to Nelson. To Felsner. On the backhand. Thrown towards the net. Doolin tied up by Marinucci. Played by Beauregard. And finally the puck flipped out of play.
Jeff Nelson last evening, his first 2 goals in the playoffs, and both of them came on the power play. Nelson last year, you'll recall, played for the Grand Rapids Griffins with his brother. Griffins out of the first round by the Cincinnati Cyclones, and now Jeff Nelson trying to get his team past the second round.
Well, he missed 10 weeks in the regular season with a broken wrist, but still finished number 2 in the scoring column this year for the Milwaukee Admirals. 20 regular season goals in just 52 games played. But this Milwaukee power play, nothing happening so far. 1-0 Admirals. We're reaching the midway point here in the first period. Behind the play, Nelson knocked down off the puck. Still advanced, and now Dahl trying to work it for Chicago. In there is Jarrett Doolin and Shannon Finn, also Felsner. Out of the box, Nardella. Both teams back at full strength. Martin whips it around, giving chase, Nardella. He picks it up. Nardella has to stop, as Mark Hussey did a nice job for Milwaukee. Quick shot by Breslin, as Hussey did a fine job getting back into the play, and now he has the puck behind the net. Tim Breslin works against him momentarily. Dooling and Rogers collide. Rogers trying to work on Jarrett Dooling. Got the stick up high for a moment. Kravich steps in from the blue line, but the puck trickles out and into the Chicago zone. Kravich advances on the backhand towards Rogers. McNeil trying to kick it ahead. Tomlik looking for it. Finally, Malte comes away with it. A penalty is going to be called once again against the Chicago Wolves. So the Milwaukee Admirals will have their 3rd power play of this first period when we return to the Rosemont Horizon.
May on Fox Sports World means major soccer moments. Follow the World Cup favorites in special coverage of international friendlies. Relive soccer's glorious history with the official World Cup films. Premiership rivals Newcastle and Arsenal battle in the final of the FA Cup. Plus, game by crucial game, goal by crucial goal, as the world's greatest leagues reach a thrilling climax. Call your cable operator if you want world-class soccer and more. Call 1-800-FOX-WORLD.
Help wanted. Immediate openings available for the most important jobs in America, helping the organizations that help children. Whatever you can do, in whatever time you have, you can make a difference. To learn how you can help in your community, reach us at this web address and number. We're fighting for the children. Whose side are you on?
Actually going to go against Milwaukee's Mike McNeil for interference, so Chicago will have the power play. Chicago, just killing one off here, are going to get an opportunity themselves. Right there, Mike McNeil getting in front of the Chicago player driving for the puck. You cannot pick or get in front, interfere in any way on a player driving for a loose puck. You're going to see that penalty called, as we mentioned, time and time again. Mike McNeil will sit in the box, and Chicago will have a chance to tie this game up. The one thing about these two teams is there are no surprises. They know each other intimately.
John Anderson, also the same can be said, as we mentioned earlier. He played in Fort Wayne for Al Sims. And they lost in the Turner Cup Finals that year to the Peoria Rivermen. Tom Tilley was on the Peoria team. Tom Tilley, a former Admiral, is now with the Chicago Wolves. So a power play for Chicago. Tom Lack and Martins get chased from the face-off circle. So now Alexander Seamack will take the draw for Chicago, and it was controlled and won by Brent Peterson and Milwaukee. Tom Tilley has it behind his own net. Tilley moves it ahead. Chicago gets it on the stick of Martins. Martins trying to use his fine speed to get around the outside. Pearson on the forecheck. Tilley kept it in at the blue line. Tilley leaves it. Now he'll get it back. Tilley flips it down low, intercepted and read nicely by Hussey, and cleared past Nardella.
Well, that's one thing, is Tilley cannot force that pass. He tried to feed that through two players and then just couldn't get it past the third one, which was Hussey, and he just cleared it right down the ice.
Tilley picks it up. Top power play unit on the bench right now, as they were just on the ice a moment ago for Chicago. Across the line, Pearson. He is tied up, and it is cleared once again. In the regular season, Chicago's power play was third best in the International Hockey League. And in the regular season against Milwaukee, it was very, very good at 23%. Here's the top unit now. LaRouche and Rogers added to the team late in the season, put right on the power play as Lorenz takes it off the backboards. And now the big guns will have 46 seconds of man advantage time for which to work.
Well, as I mentioned, since these teams know each other so well, it's hard to really gain an advantage. You have to go with your strengths. But the unfortunate part is both teams know each other's strengths and weaknesses. You look at the last play as they work it down to the zone. Milwaukee's doing a good job of pushing them off to the side. There's a drop pass, and that's something that Chicago did so many times last night. You cannot drop puck or pass it to somebody that's not there. Chicago actually would have more opportunities if they would take them when they were there. The high percentage play is something they've got to go with more, but they are so talented, they're always looking for something else, and sometimes they just look a little too far.
Well, LaRouche had 5 goals in his time with the Wolves, as you see elsewhere in the IHL. Tonight, the Solar Bears of Orlando leading 1-0 against the Cleveland Lumberjacks. That best-of-7 series getting underway, and we will be in Cleveland, Ohio next weekend at Gun Ice Arena for Game 4 between Cleveland and Orlando on our IHL Turner Cup playoff game of the week here on Fox Sports Net.
That series a rematch from last year. A rematch that saw Cleveland beat Orlando and eventually play Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals.
We were talking about Kevin Dahl earlier. John Anderson said earlier this season that when he is out there, I'm a lot more relaxed. He called Kevin Dahl the best two-way defenseman in all of the IHL.
Well, he's had some pretty good experiences, especially with defensive partners. He played for Bowling Green University. His defensive partner then, all-star defenseman Rob Blake for the LA Kings now.
What a tough situation for the Kings, getting swept in the first round by the St. Louis Blues in the NHL playoffs. Those 4 power play goals in Game 3. Something I had never seen before. Speaking of power plays, it is now over for Chicago. So both teams open 0 for 2 with the man advantage. Nardella stick handling around Fairchild. Steps across the red line, sends it into the zone. Moving in hard was Malte. He centered, but it was picked up by Don McSween and cleared back out. Tilley into the center ice area. Rogers will circle himself. Mark Rogers, number 8. Across the line and offsides was Steve LaRouche, and so a face-off forthcoming again. I would venture to say so far in the first period, Milwaukee doing a better job of bottling things up and playing physically than maybe they were able to do last night in game number 1 against Chicago, especially in the first period.
Well, that's one thing John Anderson said to us before the game, and that is that as more games get played here, you'll see more of the skill come out in these players. Keep in mind, before last night, the Chicago Wolves had been off for 9 days, and of course, the Milwaukee Admirals had been off for almost a week. So guys still a little bit rusty, and I think you're going to see things open up, but that's something Milwaukee wants to stay away from. They want to keep it bottled up. That gives them a strength.
And Al Sims, we talked about it last week on the telecast. Al Sims likes that pressure in your face forecheck system.
And his team is playing that for him. Like I said before, he can get the guys to do what he wants them to do. And as soon as they see it start to work, which they have, they will continue to do it. And Milwaukee is having a pretty good playoff run here.
The Admirals defeating a higher seeded team in the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. We talked about their lack of playoff success through their 2 decades in the International Hockey League, but guys like Brian Felsner make this a very different year for Milwaukee with a very different attitude. Mike, you mentioned it last week. Al Sims said, forget the past. The past is truly just that. It's history. And now we'll try to rewrite the record books with playoff success here in 1998.
Well, Milwaukee has so many good young hockey players, good players that they've acquired just this year, and I think they are sneaky good. They're a team that can jump up and bite you, and I think the Houston Aeros can attest to that.
Eric Fenton. Matt Martin wins that one-on-one battle. Puck still in the zone momentarily, and now picked up and across the line by Marinucci. Chris Marinucci, the former Hobey Baker Award winner, named as the top player in collegiate hockey. Marinucci checked off the puck by Hussey and cleared back and chased down by Matt Martin. 5 minutes, 42 seconds. Remains here in the first period. Long shot in on Danny Lorenz. Chicago trying to do anything, maybe jumpstart their offense here in the first period. 11 shots for the Wolves, 8 shots for the Admirals thus far.
Pretty similar to the first period of last evening's game. Almost a feeling out process here, even though these teams have seen each other so much, particularly in the latter part of the season. Keep in mind, these two teams played against each other the last game of the season, in a game where Chicago was the victor. But this is all different now.
Well, with the win last night, the lifetime series between these two teams is separated by 1 game only. The Admirals 18-17-4 lifetime against their friends just 90 miles down I-94. They're calling this the war on I-94.
Keep in mind, if things turn around here, Chicago, if they were able to get to the finals in the Turner Cup, and Detroit on the other side, you'd have World War II of I-94.
Nardella leaves it across the line for Pearson. Pearson the shot. And it trickles wide of Danny Lorenz. Now Christian Prue trying to battle for Milwaukee. Gets it up the near boards. Kept in the zone by Martins. Onto the stick. Seamack walking in. And a pad save made by Lorenz. Pearson now to Seamack. Seamack coming out with it. Working it on the backhand. 3 blue jerseys collided on Alexander Seamack. We're going to have a penalty called in front as Pearson was just hammered. Interference the call, and another power play when we return to our IHL Turner Cup playoff coverage on Fox Sports Net.
I have a lot of fun playing characters that are impulsive and dramatic, because the real me is pretty basic. I'm even a little practical. Like a while back, I noticed I had some flakes. So naturally, I started using Head & Shoulders. Of course, it helps keep the flakes away. And if it leaves my hair looking like this, why mess with a good thing?
Head & Shoulders changes dandruff problems
into beautiful hair.
You haunt me, my friend. Everywhere I go, you're there. Kiev, Buenos Aires, Budapest. But not this time. At long last, victory is mine.
Doobie doobie doo.
Beware the Penguins.
Well, John Anderson on the Chicago bench, involved in game number 2. He said 2 tough matchups, the toughest matchups in the Western Conference for any team in the playoffs, at least in his opinion, were going to be Milwaukee and Kansas City. Ironically, Dave Tippett of the Houston Aeros said the same thing last week, and his team got knocked out by the Admirals. Kansas City upset Utah. Chicago, Malte shot as they are starting their 3rd power play of this first period. A lot of traffic in front of the net. Hussey comes away with it. Given to Tomlak and stolen by Tilly. Malte across quickly. Rogers and LaRouche cross the line together. Shot from the bad angle, gloved by Lorenz. He kicks it out of the zone. He did that same very thing last night. This time, though, he tumbles to his backside doing it. He was much more fluid and good-looking in his kick yesterday than he was in the effort this time. Nonetheless, it still worked. Tilly leaves it off the backboards to Steve LaRouche. LaRouche into the neutral zone to Steve Malte. Across the line, Rogers tied up by McSween. Rogers tries to spin it. Looking back towards the point to Dahl, but he can't get away from Don McSween. Now they get it to Dahl, but right there was Jason Sapola. And Sapola will bring it himself and flip it into the zone. 37 seconds left on the penalty for interference against the Milwaukee Admirals' Christian Prue. Chicago yet to get a good scoring opportunity, and an offsides will further their frustration here in the first period and trying to get quality scoring chances against Danny Lorenz.
Well, you see some unique things from goaltenders. Look at this. The old drop kick. That is not football, ladies and gentlemen. That is a la 3-on-3 hockey after practice. Kicks the field goal all the way down. That's a la Dominik Hasek. Dominik Hasek is known for his innovations in goaltending. The way he actually a lot of times bats the puck out of the air like a baseball player. Well, Danny Lorenz using the cushion of his goalie pad, and he just punts that one out of there. Well, as long as it works, I suppose.
Well, Milwaukee has been forced to punt 2 times in 2 games. Oh, the long shot and a good save by Danny Lorenz. And he's sprayed not by one of the players, but he was sprayed by one of the linesmen.
Well, a player can get a... He's going, what was that? A player can get a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. I've never seen a linesman thrown in the box yet. Here's a blast by Dahl, right in the midsection. And I'm not sure whether Lorenz knows who sprayed him. Watch this. All of a sudden, he gets a snowstorm. They need a Zamboni to clear him off. Here comes the referee, giving him a little bit of a snow job in front of the net.
Face off to the right side of Danny Lorenz. 11 seconds left in the power play. Martins controls the draw. Dahl gets it across. Shot, pad save. Rebound, flipped up and over the net. And now Seamack has it. Good low shot from the point by Matt Martin. Both teams now back at full strength as Christian Prue is out of the penalty box. So Chicago opens up 0 for 3. They are now 0 for 9 power plays against Milwaukee so far here in the series. This is game 2. Mike Goldberg, Mike Greenlay, Jim Blaney, and our fine crew here on Fox Sports Net. Glad to be with you from the Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois. Drop pass looking for Seamack, read by Steve Tuttle. Felsner to Tuttle, upended by Jeremy Milwaukee. And Tilly gets the loose puck. Milwaukee, also a late addition to the roster. Came over from the Quebec Rafale, where he played 70 games in the regular season. Shannon Finn spins, shot to the near side. Was wide of the net on the stick side of Stefan Beauregard. Felsner to Fairchild, looking to center, poked away by Tilly. High shot, gloved by Beauregard. And he thinks twice about leaving the puck loose and clubs it and forces the face-off.
Well, Beauregard's played more games than any goaltender in the last few years. He won the MVP of the IHL in '96. And then very next season, Frederick Chabot, another goaltender, to win the MVP.
Well, he Won a Turner Cup back in the '91 season with the Fort Wayne Comets. So he knows Al Sims very well, and Al Sims knows Stephen Beauregard very well. This is his first year in the nets for the Chicago Wolves.
That's one thing he is not going to do, is take any chances. Knocks this puck down, gets on top of it. One thing Milwaukee's good at is throwing guys at the net and causing a little bit of havoc in front there with their big size.
Eric Fenton, speaking of big size, against a very strong defenseman in Kevin Dahl. And once again, a face-off. So a minute and a half remains. Milwaukee leads 1-0. The goal by Dean Trebojevic at 7:31 of the first period. Assist going to Mike Tomlak. Al Sims' team last year, the number 8 seed, swept in the first round by Long Beach. Al Sims was not the head coach, though, last year. He is in his first season, and he likes the physical play of a guy like Fenton, who had some great quotes before the series against Chicago.
Well, pretty much he was talking about Steve Malte. He said he has had it easy this year so far, and all he had to do was hit them all series long. As you see, another shot on goal by Chicago, and Malte right in there, the man he was talking about. He said, I'm going to hit him early in this series and take him out. One thing they know, and that is the Milwaukee Admirals. They know they cannot skate up and down with the Chicago Wolves, with the likes of the Steve Malte of the league.
Malte with 46 goals in the regular season, tied for tops in the IHL. Danny Lorenz a little slow to get up after the shot by LaRouche. Might have caught him in that opening between the pants and the pad, but he looks no worse for the wear. And LaRouche gets set to take the face-off against Nelson. Wins the draw. Quick shot by Malte. And gloved down by Danny Lorenz. Back through the neutral zone. Trying to get physical was Brent Peterson. Stepping out of the way was the Chicago defenseman. And a penalty is coming up on Milwaukee. So Chicago will have the power play for the 4th time with just 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining here in the first period. Peterson wanted to call earlier in the play to no avail, and Milwaukee's Ken Sabourin will make his way to the penalty box.
Well, Sabourin leads all Admirals in the playoffs with penalties, and now make that 37 minutes. He is acquired in the 5 games. He'll get a roughing call. This is not the penalty. This is what Peterson was complaining about. This is the penalty. Sabourin, the puck is already down behind Daniel Lorenz. Sabourin finishing his check just a little too late on this one. Sabourin is the all-time leader in penalties with the Milwaukee Admirals.
And they control another important face-off in their own zone. So Chicago, and 0 for so far in the series with the man advantage. And get it up to Steve Malte. Had 21 power play goals in the regular season, did Malte. That was best for a 4-way tie for the top power play producer in the IHL. Malte trying to sneak to the post. LaRouche looking towards him. Now to Rogers. Nardella is on the other side of the ice deep. LaRouche looking towards Nardella. Malte in front. Loose puck gloved by Lorenz.
We've seen Steve LaRouche be able to score goals, but he can also feed people very well. And what better man to feed than Steve Malte, tied for first this year with 46 goals with Todd White, a rookie. Here's the pass, kicks it off his skate, and then LaRouche will feed it to the front. But Malte was being tied up, and they're going to have to keep tying him up. They got his stick. A good job there by Mike Tomlak, as he'll just get Malte's stick and pretty much knock it right out of his hand and not giving him. If he doesn't have his stick, I don't think he can score a goal.
Excellent point. Face off again.
Unless he can get that puck to deflect off him some way.
Kept in nicely by Nardella. 20 seconds left in the period. Rogers looking towards the point. Nelson can't get it. Here's Nardella, shot, save, rebound behind the net. Looking for LaRouche. Delayed penalty is going to be called. Now it's Tilley. A low shot looking for a tip-in. Malte's centering pass was intercepted. 3.1 seconds on the clock. Chicago is going to have one face-off with a 5-on-3, and then they'll have approximately 55 seconds of a 5-on-3 to open the second period.
So for all intents and purposes, they will likely leave this period down by a goal. That's a good position for Milwaukee, but they will have the hammer coming out in the second period. There is Wendell Young. He has won 2 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. He has won a Calder Cup with Hershey. He would like a Turner Cup, and so would that man, Steve Malte, who has been with the Chicago Wolves since their inception in '94-95.
So a face-off here with 3.1 seconds on the clock and a 5-on-3 advantage for Chicago. Let's see what they try to do. Looks like they're going to try to draw it back. LaRouche look to. McNeil wins the face-off, and that will bring the first period to an end. So Danny Lorenz perfect in the first period, and he was tested frequently. 20 shots on goal for Chicago, just 9 for Milwaukee against that man, Stefan Beauregard, and he was beaten at 7:31 of the first period by the former Grand Rapids Griffin, Dean Trebojevic. His first goal of the postseason. Mike Tomlak with a nice feed picks up his second assist of the playoffs. And that is where we stand after 20 minutes with Milwaukee leading Chicago 1-0. Jim Blaney alongside Mike and I in our first period intermission coming up after this.
What lower round draft pick just might stun the NBA by becoming his team's leading rebounder this year? The Sporting News knows. Do you? What hot goalie will dominate NHL offenses to power his team to a great season? The Sporting News knows. Do you? What surprising rookie sensation could send his team soaring into the Super Bowl? The Sporting News knows, and you can too when you call now to claim your no-cost 4-issue Sporting News mini subscription. Plus, reserve these great sports binoculars free. When it comes to the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL, nobody keeps you in the know quite like the Sporting News. What GM's blockbuster trades will turn his pretenders into pennant contenders next season? The Sporting News knows, and now you will too. Call now for your no-cost 4-issue Sporting News mini subscription. If you like it, get 24 more issues, 28 in all, for 4 easy payments of just $4.99. Plus, get these great binoculars free with your paid subscription. Call now.
When I first came to the YMCA, I was 60 years old. I needed a place to stay active and volunteer. I can play full court basketball at the Y with the kids, and it really keeps in shape. But the best part is mentoring in a Y program for students who've been suspended. The Y teaches kids values, and if you can affect the lives of just 2 or 3 individuals in this world, you've made an impact.
Fox Sports News. We are there. Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Welcome back here on Fox Sports Net. Milwaukee leads after the first period by a score of 1-0. This is the Western Conference semifinals, game number 2, Chicago. A winner last night by a final of 3-2. Mark Rogers scoring the 3rd goal on the night. And one of his line mates is an outstanding captain for the Chicago Wolves in Steve Malte. And we have talked about him throughout the first period. He is Chicago's all-time leading scorer. He has also scored more goals than any IHL player in the last 3 years. He's downstairs with our Jim Blaney.
Mike, thank you very much. And Steve, Mike Goldberg just went through your resume as an IHL goal scorer during your time here in Chicago, and obviously you have been one of the premier players in the league. But how important is it to you now at this time in your career to get a championship?
Well, I think it's very important. I think it's everybody's goal, you know, if you're playing hockey to, you know, to go to the highest level, first of all, and then, you know, to win a championship. And I think, you know, obviously the further we go and the better we do, it's going to help everybody in that dressing room.
The acquisition of Steve LaRouche and Mark Rogers, key acquisition, no doubt, for the Wolves. But how did it change your game? Because obviously when they came over here, you acquired 2 new line mates.
Well, yeah, we, you know, jumped a little bit of line mates around all year long, so it was a little tough that way. But those guys came in and, you know, they're real headsy. Raji works real hard. and he's more or less, you know, a little bit of a grinder out there. And Steve LaRouche, a great playmaker, great offensive threat, and he's pretty good in his own end too. So that you know, helped me out a lot, and I think it brought Jamie Baker, who had been doing an unbelievable job, you know, back in his normal role as more or less a checker and you know, be a little bit of an agitator out there against the top line. So it evened everything out on our hockey club.
What kind of series will this be the rest of the way? Everybody in the league is anticipating a very difficult series for both teams, a hard-hitting, if not chippy series all the way. Is that exactly what we're going to get over the course of maybe the next 5 games after tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of hard work. I think there's no secret to their game. They work hard for 60 minutes, and you know, they try and get you off your game a little bit, and they try and capitalize on the power play. So we got to stay disciplined. You know, we've been on a little bit of a roll, and you know, now we're down 1-0, and you know, we're changing our game a little bit. So we got to go back, relax, you know, have a little break here, and go back and just work hard. And we got a good opportunity here on the power play, and hopefully we get one, and it'll be a brand new game.
Certainly, it's been a phenomenal season here in Chicago for you and the Wolves, and it all goes back to the great road trip you had to start the regular season. At that point in time, when this team got off to such a hot start, did you look around and say, you know what, we really may have something here this year?
Well, I think since day one, we never knew what was going to happen. And then we were fortunate enough to get a couple guys from the NHL clubs. And, you know, after we had a pretty good road trip, and you never know. It's such a long year, and you take it a day at a time. But, you know, it ended up being a pretty memorable one for Chicago Wolves.
Steve, congratulations on a great regular season. Good luck the rest of the way in the Turner Cup playoffs. 1-0 Milwaukee leading Chicago in Game 2 of this Western Conference semifinal series at the horizon. Back with more from Rosemont after this timeout.
So these guys from Rough Cut come up to me and say, "Will you sell our product?" I say, "Yeah." So they tell me to say it's a meat snack you can really sink your teeth into. Yeah, real funny, guys. Sink your teeth into Rough Cut beefsteak, a proud new sponsor of the IHL. Why can't we get sponsored by the National Dentist Association? They're like an orthodontist.
Hello?
How's your bud ice? Doobie.
That's the third one tonight. It's okay. The police are tracing the call.
Hello? This is the police. Those calls are coming from inside the house. Repeat, those calls are coming from inside the house.
Drink Bud Ice, but beware of the penguins.
Sir? Sir?
Time here in the International Hockey League, and what a time it has been so far. And a good first period tonight between Milwaukee and Chicago. 1-0 is our score. This week, the International Hockey League awarded all-star recognition to many of their players. The first teamers included the leading scorer in the IHL with 116 points, Vegas's Patrice Lefebvre. Another high-flying forward, Gilbert Dion of Cincinnati, who had 99 points in the regular season. And the goaltender from Fort Wayne, who led the IHL with 34 victories, Bruce Racine, gets recognition. Fort Wayne with a 37-point turnaround in the regular season. Elsewhere, the first teamers include Mike Greenlay.
You take a look at the list right there. Racine Lambert from Long Beach, still alive. Long Beach playing against Kansas City. They'll run down the list. Gilbert Dion, as you mentioned, with Cincinnati, second-team All-Stars.
Include two of the talented Russian forwards from Fort Wayne. Vyacheslav Butsayev, who played in his first full IHL season, and his line mate, Konstantin Shafranov. And I'll tell you what, both of those guys, dynamic. It's a shame they're out of the playoffs. Of course, Cleveland Lumberjacks would disagree. And also, the Vipers' Jeff Reese, who led Detroit to the Turner Cup Championship last year and has led them to the second round again this year, joined by Gruden, Dineen, and Ken Quinney.
Well, Gruden's such a speedy player. Dineen, another big player, a defenseman. He is out of the playoffs via thank you to Kansas City, who are playing Long Beach right now. And, of course, Ken Quinney, Las Vegas Thunder's big scorer. He is away from a contract now, looking for someone next year, maybe. Good to be on the second All-Star team. Has something on your resume.
You see a very popular name missing, Steve Malte of Chicago. He said, you know what? I only need to please one coach. That's my own. The others, forget about them. We're back with more in a moment.
Rough cut beefsteak, a snack you can really sink your teeth into.
Hi, I'm Joe Cook, captain for Team Mission. Today's roller hockey tip is crossovers. Ken has got his weight always on his inside foot. He's picking the foot up and over his inside skate. And the easiest way to achieve that is to put his stick behind him, which turns his upper body in towards a circle.
East Asia's in financial crisis. But let's not forget, no group of countries has ever reduced poverty so much, so fast in human history. Living standards quadrupled in a generation. We must help protect the success story and its virtues, engagement in the world, hard work, and high savings rates. We know what went wrong. Too many cases of weak banks, flawed policies, poor regulation, and lack of openness. These mistakes must be corrected, and the investment in people must be saved. That means building on the gains in education and health care. Not just for the 350 million still living in deep poverty, but for all those who now risk slipping back. Let's fight this together. The World Bank, knowledge and resources for change.
Home team's Fox attitude. You're watching Fox Sports Detroit.
Welcome back live to the Rosemont Horizon. Here in suburban Chicago, the Chicago Wolves in Game 2 trailing after one period to Milwaukee by a score of 1-0. Mike Goldberg, Mike Greenlane, glad you're with us again here tonight on our continuing coverage of the IHL. Figure it out, Wolves, 20 shots in the first period, no goals. Milwaukee, 9 shots, 1 goal.
Well, the thing is, Chicago, who do get so many opportunities, give up a lot of opportunities because they don't take the obvious chances. They try and make some plays too pretty. That might be their undoing if they continue to do that, but they do have a power play coming into the second period.
Yeah, they do a 5-on-3, and they'll try to tie the game because of the efforts of Dean Trebojevic in the first period, and Mike Tomlak really did a good job of bringing the puck into the zone. I was amazed with how much time Trebojevic had to tee this shot up.
Well, sometimes you get missed assignments. Somebody does not go to their man. Right there, you saw someone turn away from Trebojevic. That gives him the opportunity to take time in the most highly sought-after spot on the ice to score from, and that is right in the slot. Watch everybody turn to the one man. That gives Trebojevic plenty of time to pick his spot over the blocker of Stefan Beauregard.
Well, it was certainly a Milwaukee-type period, but they are going to have to try to limit Chicago's scoring chances throughout the night because 7 in one period, I know Al Sims would say, it's way too many. And remember, a 5-on-3 for 54 seconds to start the second period when we come back to the Rosemont Horizon with Chicago trailing by a score of 1-0.
I started with the original Rogaine. I wanted to fix this, and Rogaine was starting to work. But they said, Mike, switch over to the new Rogaine. That's when my hair coach started noticing.
Looks good, Dad.
With this new extra strength for men, they say 45% more hair is the average. I think I'm gonna beat that. Every Sunday, I got 60,000 friends staring at my head, so more hair is a big win.
The new Rogaine, 45% more hair.
I mean, consider the alternative.
We all have something to contribute. Some are blessed with speed. Some have guts. There are those with agility and others with power. But there is one thing we all share, a dream. And although it weighs only 30 pounds, it'll take the strength of an entire team to hoist it.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big. At Days Inn, whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
Turner Cup playoffs are brought to you by Rough Cut Beef Steak. Beef up with Rough Cut at a convenience store near you. Days Inn, the official hotel of the IHL. And by Mission Hockey, brave new ice hockey since 1998.
Newcomers to the IHL, Chicago, in their 4th season in the league, getting set to start the second period. Before we have the face-off, let's check in with Jim Blaney.
Well, Mike, one person not in the lineup for the Milwaukee Admirals tonight, as a matter of fact, he was knocked out of a game that the Wolves and Admirals played a couple of weeks ago, was Kerry Clark. He got tangled up with Mark Potvin of the Wolves, injured his neck. He had surgery earlier this week, and Kerry Clark's career is over. And the last couple of weeks, he's been filling in, working with Doug Pettit on the Admirals radio broadcast. So Kerry Clark, didn't take him long to try and get his next career started, but he's certainly a guy that the Admirals are going to miss. He was a key part of their club. Back to you.
Kerry Clark's wanted me to thank everyone, all the well-wishers that sent him cards and flowers and so on when he was in the hospital. And he wanted me to say thanks for him. Kerry Clark actually had a goal and an assist in that game. And then he had the career-ending injury. You know, you talk about the Gordie Howe hat trick, the goal assist in a fight. He kind of jokingly said to me, well, that's called the Kerry Clark hat trick.
Kerry Clark. Unfortunately, we won't see him in a uniform. Hopefully he'll stay around the game. A lot of time ticking off here on this 5-on-3, and not a shot yet for Chicago. Malte was breaking to the deep post. Rogers trying to jump ahead at it. Waiting to tee it up was Tilly. Now Nardella. Malte look to center. Puck deflected, shot by Rogers. Loose in front, pulled aside neatly by McSween. There's 3 seconds now left on the penalty to Sabrin, and then it'll be a 5-on-4. It is right now. 1 minute left now, and a 5-on-4 for the Wolves here to start the second period. Nardella gets it back from Tilly. Low drive wide of the net. Rogers now has it. Chicago extremely frustrated with the power play efforts of their own team so far here tonight. Malte to the point, and Nardella. Nardella skates it to the middle of the ice, lets it fly, and once again Lorenz was able to see it, bring it in, and leave no rebound.
That's such a key with such tenacious players around the net that Chicago has. You talk about that big line. Well, for Chicago, that's done so well 5-on-5. Here's a shot from the point, and it gets through.
Good save there by Lorenz. Talk about the Legion of Doom with Malte, Rogers, and LaRouche. They've recorded 17 coming into this game. 17 of the 36 points the Wolves have accumulated in the playoffs. So talk about potent team, potent lines.
Well, again, an important element in any hockey game, face-offs. Milwaukee won the opening draw of the second period, Mike. They were able to kill about 30 of the 50 seconds against them on the 5-on-3. Now they win the last draw, and Lorenz helps his team clear the zone again. Here's Pearson, and the shot deflected off the stick of Trebojevic and went wide of the net. Martin has it. Martin threads it towards Tomlin. Dahl had to hurry it back deep into the zone. Pearson pushes it ahead. Scott Pearson, Christian Prue, Alexander Seamack. Nelson is out of the penalty box. 5-on-5. Behind the net, Chicago. Looking in front, Pearson tied up by Mike Tomlak. Behind the net now to Steve Martins. Martins leaves it. Looking back in front for the return pass. Pearson gets the shot away. It was wide of the net. Spinning once and twice as Martins. Tomlak will be happy to try to get a whistle. Kept in nicely at the blue line by Martin. And Pearson could not clear it through the legs of Brent Peterson. So Chicago coming away empty on a 5-on-3 to open the second period. And they are now 0 for 11 in the series with the man advantage against this Milwaukee penalty killing unit. Don McSween has it. Gets it over to Ken Sabrin. Sabrin flips it around the glass. Beauregard again having trouble playing it behind the net. He may not be the better of the two Chicago goalies with his stick work, as Beauregard is not performed well in trying to deflect those pucks dumped in behind the net so far in game number 2 tonight. Marinucci jumps on the loose puck, but it was advanced by the hand of a Chicago player and will step aside as Milwaukee dodges the early bullet here in the second.
John invites me to help him test the new Rogaine. Okay. I hated this spot. I said yes. This new Rogaine Extra Strength for Men is more concentrated. It gets more to the root to grow more hair. 2 months in, it's working. My wife's saying something's happening. But maybe I'm just lucky. What about the other guys? Listen to this. 45% more hair than with original Rogaine. 45% more hair with the new Rogaine. It's the, ultimate spot remover.
In the first round, Orlando went 5 games against Indianapolis. Cleveland upset Fort Wayne, and so we will be at Gund Arena next Saturday night in our IHL Game of the Week. Eastern Conference semifinal game number 4 between the Solar Bears and the Lumberjacks, who have opened up their series tonight at the arena. And the Solar Bears looking to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Cleveland's Brett Harkins very good in the first round. Kelly Fairchild and Milwaukee lead our contest 1-0. As Fairchild happy once again to flip it into the Chicago zone. Back to get it, Tom Tilley. After Nardella touched it up the boards. Marinucci couldn't get there. And now Breslin on the back check against Felsner. Haven't said Brian Felsner's name a whole heck of a lot so far in the game. Nonetheless, Milwaukee has the advantage. Marinucci leaves it, long drive, kick save made by Danny Lorenz on the shot by Nardella. Baker just advances it ahead, and Felsner picks it up, leaves it for Mark Hussey. Hussey, quick pass up off the stick of Eric Fenton. Uses his big body to work around Nardella. Centering attempt. Broken up once, now towards the point, and broken up again. Malte ahead looking for LaRouche. And the puck into the third row of stands here at the Rosemont Horizon.
That's one thing Chicago can do, is outlet players so quick. On the change there, LaRouche came off the bench, circled around the blue line, and he was up the ice already. Malte trying to feed him from the blue line to blue line, but the puck deflected up over the stands. Watch the last shot, though, right before that. Just the nice drop pass. This is what Chicago's trying to do. The problem is they try and do it too often, and by doing so, Milwaukee's picking up that drop pass and clearing the puck. And it's a dangerous place to drop the puck, right at your own blue line, because that just jumps right into the opposition's transition game, getting the puck out of the zone.
Sabrin does exactly that. Gets the puck out of his own zone. LaRouche onto the stick of Malte. Ahead moves Rogers. McSween will get to it first. Winds it around the near side boards. Bounced over the stick of Kevin Dahl, and so Chicago will reset at center. Rogers in tight traffic against McSween. Here comes Dahl. He's got speed. Tied up in the neutral zone, and Chicago will have another power play. A great first step in the pursuit of Kevin Dahl draws the Milwaukee penalty.
Chicago famous for doing what they do, getting that speed down into the zone. Look at Dahl on his horse there. Look at the feet. He just keeps them moving, and McSween cannot get away with that one. Actually, it's a needless penalty by Milwaukee. They did have men back. McSween just trying to slow Dahl up a bit, but in doing so, he gets too much of the jersey, too much of the hip, drags him down, so Don McSween will get the penalty, and Chicago will have a chance. It's still only a 1-0 game. These two teams played tight all season long.
10 shots on the 5 power plays so far tonight for Chicago. Malte is on the ice. Tilly, Nardella, and a flip pass from Tilly, poked out of the zone by McNeil. Little change here as LaRouche is off the power play unit. Marinucci and Rogers along with Steve Malte. They lead for Tilly. Give to Nardella. Cross ice pass. Rogers looking towards the point. Rogers to Marinucci. Chris Marinucci. Blue line Tilly with McNeil in his face. Back to Marinucci. Across to Nardella. Low shot. Almost deflected on the far post. Shot again in front of the net. Knocked down. Puck is loose. And Milwaukee will bring it out themselves. Mike Tomlak. Although he lost it in the neutral zone. Almost got it back. And now he controls. Look to get it to the streaking Brent Peterson. 1 minute, 7 seconds remaining on power play number 6 for Chicago. Malte stood up at the blue line by Christian Prue. He lost the puck. And it is cleared out by Nelson. Is Chicago having a tendency to potentially overpass with the man advantage?
I think their passing plays should be the passes -1, because it's always that extra pass that's killing them.
Behind the net, Lorenz. And pressure on. Knew he couldn't glove it back there, but still let his teammates get back to try to help out on the loose puck. Martins can't get a hold of it. Flipped on the backhand, back Chicago with possession. Looking towards the point in Tilly. Tilly hammered by Nelson. Now Trebojevic can't clear. Finally Peterson, the third blue jersey, able to clear the puck the length of the ice.
Milwaukee great on the puck pursuit in their own zone. That's why they've been able to kill a penalty and really thwart any effort by Chicago. They are jumping on all loose pucks and are using their body very well.
Now their assistant coach Fabian Joseph said last night was their worst game played in the postseason. The effort tonight has been good. Shot knocked down off the stick of Seamat. Pearson can't get it to the net, and another power play with very little offensive pressure by Chicago.
You talked about Fabian Joseph. He did state that they need every one of their players going. Last night they did not, as you mentioned, have everybody going, and I think they know that they have to beat a team like Chicago, because Milwaukee is a team-oriented system. Chicago allows a little bit for the individual player to make some great plays, but Milwaukee wants to get by this team, and they're going to have to do it as a team.
Face off inside the Admirals zone to the point. Shot deflected off the back of the leg of Tim Berglund from the point a moment ago. Berglund had a shorthanded goal to get Chicago started. in the scoring last night in Game 1. If you joined us late, Dean Trebojevic has scored the only goal of our contest. It came in the first period for Milwaukee. Shot off the side of the net. Now Chicago in pursuit. Milwaukee deep to the point, and Jamie Baker. Baker tees it up. Rebound in front. Loose puck still squirts through the crease. And it'll be brought out of the zone. Berglund, though, able to take it off the stick of Kelly Fairchild. Trebojevic behind. That time Chicago finally crashed the net and almost pounced on the rebound. Felsner leads for Fairchild. Shot high to the blocker's side of the left-handed Stefan Beauregard. Another whistle and a stoppage with 12:03 remaining here in the second on Fox Sports Net.
We get busy.
Roll that videotape.
Action. Reaction.
Oh, baby. Woo. I will be ready.
Sports satisfaction. And Earl Wright. That's Kevin Frazier.
Fox Sports News. Prime time.
We are there. Weeknights at 10.
It's a thin line between newborn and stillborn, full term and premature, between healthy and sick. If you're pregnant or think you are, getting prenatal care early is the most important step you can take. Don't put your baby's health on the line. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your baby. Find out now about getting prenatal care.
Chicago has outchanced Milwaukee, but Milwaukee still leads 1-0. Finally, Chicago with a legitimate opportunity here. The rebound, and they just cannot get it. Lorenz, what a beautiful save there with the paddle of his stick just to get it wide of the post.
In Game 1 last night, Chicago outchanced Milwaukee 19-10. And the line of Malte, LaRouche, and Rogers had 10 of those 19 scoring chances for Chicago. Now Milwaukee picks up the Admirals forward. McNeil trying to work it. There's going to be a penalty called. And once again, the whistle of Rob Martel is sounded. Holding will be the call, as the white and blue jerseys are starting to become a bit more active in the physical part of the game here in the second period.
Well, they're getting it down. They're using the same idea that Chicago usually uses, and that is to get the puck deep into the zone and work it along the boards. That's where you're going to draw a lot of the penalties, because that's where a lot of the battles are. A lot of the cycling. We mentioned that Chicago loves to cycle the puck down low. Now it's Milwaukee getting it down there, doing a lot of work with the body and drawing the penalty.
So David Kravich picks up the minor. Kravich, at the start of the year, was selected by the Hockey News as the best defenseman in the East Coast Hockey League history. Off the draw, face-off win, puck bouncing behind Beauregard. And gloved, and the face-off forced by Kevin Dahl, and so another drop of the puck inside the zone of Chicago. As the stick work starting after the whistles here in the second period.
Well, Milwaukee likes to get someone in front of that net. They like to really play around the top of that crease there. And whenever you get into that vicinity, that is the pit. That is where the battles are fought. And that's why after the whistle, if you see a situation like that, you'll often see some pushing and shoving afterwards.
Jeff Nelson will take the face-off against Jamie Baker. Power play number 3 just underway for Al Sims and Milwaukee. Nelson lost the face-off. Chicago controls, and Kevin Dahl skates it up, puts it into the neutral zone. Marinucci and Baker, the forwards on this penalty-killing unit. Felsner, Nelson, Jared Dooling, a name we haven't said a whole lot of times here tonight, with Hussey and Jason Sapola on the points. Power play for Milwaukee for the next minute and a half. Flipped in behind the net. Dooling picks up the puck. Martin missed the check entirely. Looking to hammer Jared Dooling. Watch out, Hussey moving in from his point position. The puck left for Felsner. Felsner shot in front, and Beauregard brings it in.
You haven't been able to say Dooling or Felsner or many other Milwaukee names. Well, because Chicago has had most of the puck possession, unofficially now 25-10 out shooting the Milwaukee Admirals. But the Admirals have made their best opportunity count. Right there, another good one. Driving in low there and blasting one. The problem is they did not get a rebound, and that is a part of their power play key, is to get a good shot. They know they're going to probably score on the rebounds if they can get guys down there. Not a lot of first shot type goals they don't suspect.
Fairchild, and again Chicago wins the faceoff. A good draw taken once again by Tim Breslin of the Chicago Wolves. That's 2 clean faceoff wins for Chicago in attempting to kill this Milwaukee power play. Sapola brings it up ice. Fairchild quickly over to Brent Peterson. Peterson around one man. Now he's hit behind the net, knocked off the puck nicely by Tim Breslin. Breslin, Fairchild, Peterson to the point. Sapola flips it off the boards. Milwaukee couldn't come away with it. Fairchild looked to center, broken up. Peterson, and now it's Fairchild again. Peterson and Milwaukee will tangle one more time. 33 seconds left in the rough cut power play. Now across the line comes Chicago. Drop pass left behind the stick of Milwaukee. Berglund cycling on Hussey, trying to circle and center. Jamie Baker picks it up. Now Baker will spin with the puck, and Fairchild holds him momentarily as Sapola tried to come away with it. Marinucci intercepts, so he almost got it onto the stick of Jamie Baker. Intercepted by Fenton, who had the power play there the last 20 seconds. It looked for a moment like Chicago. And in fact, they are going to have the power play, because Jamie Baker was tripped up behind the play, and a Milwaukee player once again will find a home for 2 minutes in the penalty box.
Al Sims looking on. Jamie Baker trying to skate that off. Took a good whack on the leg there, and now he's going to go to the penalty box. Once again, Milwaukee, who hasn't had a lot of opportunities in the early parts of this period, will get an opportunity again here to continue their momentum.
So Baker's in, so he must have done something before the retaliatory penalty by Jason Sapola. It's no power play. They'll go for either team.
It might be a double minor. Right now up on the board, it looks even.
Now the scoreboard shows 2 minutes for each player in the box, Sapola and Baker. And I see 4 on 4. So indeed, coincidental penalties called. Slashing both ways. So the stick work here at 10:31 of the second period. 4 on 4 certainly would favor the Chicago Wolves, as they have the more skilled players and the greater amount of speed on the ice. Trying to take it himself was Steve Malte, a guy who I was thinking about when I made the statement a moment ago about a 4 on 4 situation and that extra open ice available for Chicago. LaRouche sabbering on him. LaRouche gets it into the neutral zone. Malte a little token pressure on Don McSween. McSween takes a hit from Malte, bounce it off the boards. Mike Tomlak had the assist on the goal by Dean Trebojevic, the only goal of our contest here so far tonight. Beauregard behind his own net, flips it up the boards to Tom Tilley. Tilley working it out of the zone. Left for Nardella, across the line, Nardella. Now he gets it over towards LaRouche. LaRouche overskates the puck, and Felsner and Nelson now trying to work it. That was Nelson. Peterson in, as Beauregard almost put it right on the stick of Peterson in a dangerous situation. Peterson could never get a shot away. Beauregard's handling of the loose pucks again a bit suspect. Martins breaks the defense, backhand deep, pad save made. Danny Lorenz. What a great burst of speed by Steve Martins. He cut right through Christian Prue and Dean Trebojevic. We will step aside as Chicago had a great scoring opportunity, and Lorenz comes up big again.
So these guys from Rough Cut come up to me and say, "Well, you saw our product?" I say, "Yeah." So he told me to say it's a meat snack you can really sink your teeth into. Yeah, real funny, guys. Sink your teeth into Rough Cut beefsteak, a proud new sponsor of the IHL. Why can't we get sponsored by the National Dentist Association? They're like an orthodontist.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big. At Days Inn, whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
Welcome back to the Horizon. I'm Jim Blaney along with Chris, who is better known as the dry erase board lady here at the Horizon. Who are your two favorite players in the IHL to harass?
Well, just to clarify, first I want to say I'm the dry board erase man's wife, and our two favorite players to harass are Doug Ast and Paris Duffus, because of all the possibilities.
They're very self-explanatory, and you can use this thing for about anything, and I can even use it. Mike?
Which one, Blaines? Rogers. And the shot on net ticked away. I am sure that message now, Greener, has been erased. As the goaltender, Mike McNeil, on Beauregard a moment ago. And no harm done. 14 seconds left in this 4-on-4.
Open up ice for both these guys. Chicago with some great opportunities, especially right before that last whistle. Watch them bust through the zone here, but more importantly, the save. They split the defense, but the save by Lorenz, throwing his body and making a great save. And just now, the Beauregard getting steamrolled here as he covers up the puck. A little bit by his own player.
So Chicago inside their own zone. There's 7.5 minutes now on the clock. Christian Prue, he's got time. Top of the circles. Martins falls momentarily. Prue looking to center. Broken up. Picked up and pushed back ahead by Brent Peterson. Now scooting out of the zone quickly. What great quickness the Harvard graduate Steve Martins possesses. Baker in on his man. And Danny Lorenz forced to freeze the puck, and we'll have another face-off for Chicago. Before the series, Al Sims and both Al Sims really and John Anderson had kind of mentioned the difference of the two teams. One's the flashy team. Sims's team is the more physical, but it's the pinpoint passing ability of Chicago that really helps them generate the use of their quickness, and a lot of their passes have been broken up in the neutral zone by that aggressive forecheck of Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's done a good job on reading the play, and it has really helped them to get their sticks into the passing lane.
Off the face-off, Chicago controls. Shot on net, kicked aside by Danny Lorenz. Nelson there to help out with the clearing of the rebound, and Milwaukee does. Ahead to Jarrett Dooling. And picked up again by Chicago. 28-10. The shots advantage Wolves. McSween with Pearson all over him. Dooling now hammered. Behind the net, Tilley is without a stick. The Chicago defenseman gets it from Berglund, the forward. Heads up play by Tim Berglund. Shot deflected aside by Tim Berglund. Now in front of the net, Beauregard able to freeze and hold on. Heads up play there by Tim Berglund, handing his stick to his defenseman, Tom Tilley.
Well, you want the defensive line to have as much control as possible defensively there. And Berglund, a veteran player, and actually a player that they refer to as a role player, as well as guys like Tim Berglund. But the thing is, those role players don't play like role players. There's a good shot from a sharp angle, and right in front, Beauregard's able to corral that, but Milwaukee slowly but surely here starting to get some better chances and starting to get some more chances as the period wears on. And they still lead it 1-0, and both these teams they're famous for playing close, tight games. Neither team beating the other throughout the season by more than 3 goals in one game. And quite often just 1-goal hockey games as we have right here.
Now 10 of the 12 games in the regular season were decided by 2 goals or less. The Wolves winning the last 2 games of the regular season to win the season series 7-5. Couple more coincidental minors for Milwaukee. It's Eric Fenton, and in the box for Chicago, Scott Pearson. So 4-on-4 favoring Chicago, as we had mentioned, and they've got 2 of the most talented forwards in the league on the ice, Steve Malte and Steve LaRouche. McNeil is at 1 forward position with Mike Tomlak for Milwaukee. McSween and Sabrin defensively against Dahl and Matt Martin for Chicago. Here is LaRouche, 1-on-1 with Sabrin. LaRouche tied up and pulled down from behind. And the referee, Rob Martell, thought potentially LaRouche with a bit of Hollywood there. And so no call is made. And LaRouche was angry. Sabrin circles in his own zone. Played it off the glass. Dahl steps up on the puck. Checked off the play momentarily by Tomlak. Sabrin gaining a lot of ice time here this evening for Milwaukee. We did not see him on the ice nearly as much in Game 4 last Saturday night in Milwaukee, where the Admirals finished off the Houston Aeros season. Breslin had the puck squirt through his legs, and Sabrin regains possession. Martin now regains for Chicago. Matt Martin to Malte. And Malte waits patiently. Possession game now for Chicago. Breslin. Pretty passing to Steve Malte. Shot! Oh, just wide to stick side. Malte on the doorstep, trying to go high, and clanked it off the near side post. Now at the point, Tilly. And here comes Peterson. Tilly in pursuit. Takes the angle. Peterson fires the shot well wide. Breslin just back into the neutral zone.
Peterson at the end of his shift, or he might have had more jump coming down the wing there. All he could do was float one at the net and go and change.
Now what pretty puck movement to lead to the Malte opportunity a moment ago for Chicago. Both guys come out of the box. Pearson and Fenton. Hussey controls. He's looking towards Eric Fenton. It was gloved down by Nardella. Chicago continues to be frustrated, and the physicality continues to increase here at the Rosemont.
We all have something to contribute. Some are blessed with speed. Some have guts. There are those with agility, and others with power. But there is one thing we all share, a dream. And although it weighs only 30 pounds, it'll take the strength of an entire team to hoist it.
Oh, Maria, Elmo sure is excited about going for a ride.
Same here.
Elmo wants to sit in the front seat.
Elmo must sit in the back.
In the back?
Kids always sit in the back, Elmo, with safety belts fastened. Look at Gabby.
And little kids sit in special safety seats.
A special seat?
That's right, Elmo. You ready?
Yeah!
Remember, kids sit in the back seat and everyone buckles up.
Well, we've had calls and we've had some non-calls, and for good reason. Here's Steve LaRouche breaking into the zone, trying to beat Sabrin, and McSween with just a bit of a tug on the hand and a little bit of theatrics by Steve LaRouche. Trying to draw the penalty, but does not, and play continued. Still 1-0 here. Milwaukee leading late in the second period.
So full strength, both teams. And an icing called against the Admirals. Milwaukee, the 6th seed, coming into the postseason. They upset the 3rd-seeded Houston Aeros in 4 games. Their team was established back in 1977. And they have now won a total of 5 playoff series in 21 years.
They have made the playoffs in 19 of those 21 years, giving you an idea of how many first-round outings they've had where where they did not make it past the first round, but this year they did, and they had to beat a pretty good team in the Houston Aeros to do so. The Houston Aeros 110 points this year, right behind Chicago. So Milwaukee showing that they have the ability to knock off the top team.
Pearson's shot deflected aside, looking to center was Baker. Bouncing puck picked up by Milwaukee. Peterson gains the zone and taken right away by Bob Nardella. With speed is Martins. Tied up for a moment. C-Mac looked to center. Busting to the post. Christian Prue picked up Scott Pearson nicely. Trebojevic now on the backhand. Fairchild ahead to Brent Peterson. And Peterson just sends it towards the net of Stephen Beauregard. Chicago, the dominant team here in the second period. C-Mac just missed Steve LaRouche, and an offsides is called. Now a close game here tonight, and how about the game in the second round played last night in Detroit, Mike? Turned out to be the second longest game in IHL playoff history as the Cincinnati Cyclones defeated the Detroit Vipers in triple overtime. 10:05 of the third OT, Cincinnati wins game one.
Well, from the drop of the puck at 7:38, that game went 4 hours and 52 minutes before ending at 12:30 in the morning. And this is this evening, a final score. Detroit evens the series up. So they'll go to Cincinnati tied at 1 game apiece.
I would imagine that Ron Smith is happy with that. Take the split on the road to open the best-of-7 semifinals. Nelson spinning, couldn't get a shot away. Dueling behind the net. Lots of room. Backhand. And Beauregard stayed tight on the post.
Keep in mind, going back to that series of Detroit-Cincinnati, Detroit won the season series, winning 9 out of their 10 meetings. So that's a big coup, as you said, to come in and beat the Detroit Vipers in the first game and to go back 1 game apiece. Right now, the Milwaukee Admirals would like to go back home with 1 game apiece, losing last night 3-2 and almost getting another goal in the second period here. They lead it 1-0, and a good job by Dueling as he wrapped it around.
Sabrin off the draw, and a good glove save made by Beauregard. Clean face-off win by the captain, Jeff Nelson.
Well, Ken Sabrin maybe unlikely to get a lot of goals. He had 1 throughout the whole season. But that shot right there, a good strong shot, had a good opportunity to go into the net. It's won very cleanly, and he steps right into this. A big man is Ken Sabrin, and that shot was picked out of the air by Beauregard.
So Beauregard not tested frequently, but tested here in the last 30 seconds or so, twice by Milwaukee. Penalty is coming up. It is going to go against Chicago. Delayed call out of the net is Lorenz. Hussey, high shot. Finn on the back door, looking to center. And Berglund gains possession. And so Milwaukee will have their power play unit on the ice with 2 minutes and 31 seconds remaining here in the second period.
Well, the call on the play, one thing Milwaukee, they have been driving their players in. Right there is a pretty good call, but the tripping is what he's going to get the call for. Trying to rub out Jeff Nelson on the boards was a good play, but the trip afterwards was what he's getting the call for. And we've seen Milwaukee really turn their game around. They were being outshot badly in the earlier parts of this second period. They're still being outshot, but Milwaukee has turned things around and have had a couple good opportunities here.
They control the face-off momentarily. Marinucci without the lumber. Nelson looking towards Sapola. Sapola moving towards the net. Felsner now played it behind. Sapola came in from the point. Now he's got the puck. Nelson feeds it down low. Dueling was in front. Tried to play it out of midair. Felsner's pass. Now left for Dueling. Nelson again behind the net. Read nicely by Millimak. Felsner in. Back to the blue line. Sapola, low shot. And seen cleanly by Beauregard. Once again, though, Milwaukee happy to just fire the puck low on the Chicago netminder.
Well, Sapola does not have a goal in the playoffs, but he's tied for the lead in Milwaukee in scoring with 6 points. All 6 are assists, and a lot of them come because he can feed the puck in from the point. He's got a good low hard shot, And the simple play of getting the puck on net has created a lot of scoring chances and a lot of goals for his teammates.
25-year-old from Toronto. Attended Yale collegiately. Fenton went down behind the play. Chicago shorthanded opportunity. Berglund had a shorthanded goal last night. Chicago has no goals tonight. Fairchild looking to Peterson. And cleared into the neutral zone by Bob Nardella. He just flipped it up on the backhand. Fenton whips it in and around. Beauregard holds it up for Dahl, who fires it. And once again, Milwaukee will have to retreat. 52 seconds left in the power play. 1:21 remaining in the second period. Shannon Finn. Bouncing puck to the stick side of Beauregard. Tilly was back. Now gained by Fairchild in Milwaukee. Shot in close. Is deflected off the side of Beauregard, and Chicago clears again. There is Jason Sapola. Won a title in the ECHL last year in South Carolina. Up too far, skated down by Dahl. Held up, but not in by Hussey. To McSween. Don McSween. Headmans the puck to Felsner. He'll get it right back. Malte with pressure now. And the loose puck picked up by Hussey. Both teams back to even strength. 30 seconds remaining here in the second period. Hussey fanned on the pass attempt. LaRouche takes it in and around Nelson. And finally held up by Danny Menard. As Chicago now in the last 3 or 4 minutes, Mike, unable to really get into any type of flow offensively.
Well, they have been frustrated all the way down. You haven't seen Steve LaRouche get a lot of great opportunities like he's used to. You haven't seen Malte really break free, and I think the system that Al Sims is throwing forth is the fact that they're going to slow these guys down and really create traffic for them. And they have done so, created all kinds of traffic. Now that slows a team like Chicago down, giving Milwaukee a good advantage.
Ardella's shot just trickles to the side. LaRouche slowed down literally by Mike Tomlak. Back the other way they come. McNeil has it. Look to center. Broken up. LaRouche and Tomlak continue to tug away as the linesmen come in to separate the two combatants as the second period has come to an end. Now Rogers, Malte, and Sabrin have words behind the play. And Malte with a shove on Milwaukee's Steve Tuttle. So the Admirals are getting under the Wolves' skin.
This will create frustration in the third period, and as Milwaukee hopes, some more penalties and some more power plays for them. It's still a tight hockey game. Neither team can afford too many penalties, as we've seen both teams at about a 40% ratio on the power play against each other in the seasonal series. So these guys know how to score against each other on the power plays.
Oh, another shot. That was Rogers who got a shot in on Ken Sabrin. And now these guys got to be careful, because I'll tell you what, Ron Martell is standing right behind this scrum, and he's taking notes.
He is taking notes. He's going to school. And in the third period,
yep,
he's not asking anybody for their phone number. I can guarantee you that.
Got the little black book, but not the little black book you think it is. Who you got? Not telling you. We'll find out as we start the third period.
It's going to be an exciting third period.
No question about it. You know, the storyline for tonight was set early. These two teams met 12 times in the regular season. Al Sims, in fact, was almost the Chicago head coach. But now he says, I'm an Admiral through and through. And I've gotten a distinct disliking for the Chicago Wolves. And so do my players.
Especially because of the 12 meetings in the regular season.
The rivalry continues in the third period. It is a one-goal game after 40 minutes of play. The Admirals lead the Chicago Wolves 1-0. 2 periods in the books.
What lower round draft pick just might stun the NBA by becoming his team's leading rebounder this year? The Sporting News knows. Do you? What hot goalie will dominate NHL offenses to power his team to a great season? The Sporting News knows. Do you? What surprising rookie sensation could send his team soaring into the Super Bowl? The Sporting News knows, and you can too when you call now to claim your no-cost 4-issue Sporting News mini subscription. Plus, reserve these great sports binoculars free. When it comes to the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL, nobody keeps you in the know quite like the Sporting News. What GM's blockbuster trades will turn his pretenders into pennant contenders next season? The Sporting News knows, and now you will too. Call now for your no-cost 4-issue Sporting News mini subscription. If you like it, get 24 more issues, 28 in all, for 4 easy payments of just $4.99. Plus, get these great binoculars free with your paid subscription. Call now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. You know, most guys I know are walking encyclopedias of unusual and sometimes interesting facts. Ask them and they'll tell you that Jack Nicklaus won the Masters 6 times, that Tom Dempsey kicked the all-time longest field goal, 63 yards, that Martina Navratilova holds the all-time tennis record for tournament victories, 158. They can also tell you that there were 7 stranded castaways stuck on Gilligan's Island. But if you ask a guy what's a safe cholesterol level, they'll look like somebody who's just been picked off by Roger Clemens. Basically, most guys are a little weak on the numbers they really should know, like the fact that men are 3 times more likely than a woman to die from heart attacks, or that the average guy lives 7 years less than the average woman, or that prostate cancer kills 35,000 men each year. Knowing these facts could save your life. That's why, as part of National Men's Health Week, we're asking guys to get to know more about this set of numbers by taking time to see their health professionals. Think of it as a way to make yourself really smart. I'm Pat O'Brien.
Keep watching Fox Sports News.
In the opening round of the playoffs, Milwaukee got under Houston's skin. They really weren't successful in doing it to Chicago last night, but now after 40 minutes, they've got the Wolves very aggravated. They lead 1-0. For more on our first 2 periods, let's check back downstairs with Jim Blaney.
All right, Mike, we are joined by Milwaukee captain Jeff Nelson. And Jeff, let me try a theory out on you. I watched your team play this year, and I always felt that when the playoffs came, there would have to be very little adjustment by the Milwaukee Admirals to the playoffs, a tighter checking game, lower scoring games, because that's the way your team played all year long. You agree with that?
Oh, definitely. You know, we're not the fanciest team in the league, but we get the puck in deep and work it, and we play pretty good defense here. And if we limit the other teams to few scoring chances, we're going to fare well. And you know, we just this game right here, we got to pick it up a little bit and get it in their end and start cycling and taking the puck to the net.
It also seems that the commitment has been there by your teammates all year long to play the type of game that Al Sims has wanted, but there's also been some changes in the lineup down the last half of the year. How easy was it to get the newer guys to understand what Coach Sims wanted and why that the guys who had been there all year were having success with it? Well,
we got a great character team, and I think the new guys that came in, you know, they just wanted to fit in, and when Al went to get guys, he was looking for guys that would have good character and fit in with the team, and so far that he's done a good job of doing that. And you know, none of the guys on the team want to let their player next to him down, so that's why everyone's going out and giving 100% effort.
Describe for us a little bit the difference between regular season hockey and playoff hockey.
Well, definitely, it's a lot tighter checking, and you know, your scoring chances are limited, and you know, if you get a chance in the power play, you know, you pretty much got to bury it, because a lot of times your special teams will win you games, and you know, there's a lot of clutching, grabbing going on, and it's just who wins the one-on-one battles.
12 games between these two teams in the regular season, 6 in the final month of the regular season, and now potentially a 7-game playoff series. I would imagine there's a lot of room for a good, healthy hatred to be built up over the course of the next week and a half.
Oh, definitely. Whenever you get 2 teams that are, you know, just down the highway, there's going to be a battle going on. You know, lots of hatred out there, and you know, it's bragging rights definitely in this area. So you know, you want to go out and play your best and try to triumph.
But as a pro hockey player, is this a little bit of what you live for? A tight series, a chance to every shift show that you're better than the next guy?
Oh, definitely. You know, when you get into games and they're really intense, you know, it just seems like it's flying by, and you just want to go out there and, you know, beat the other guy. You know, like I said, one-on-one battles and that, and you just, you know, win the games, and you know, hopefully we can hang on this one tonight.
Jeff Nelson's team up 1-0 at the end of 2 periods of play. We are in Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinal between Milwaukee and Chicago from the Rosemont Horizon. Back with more after this timeout.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big at Days Inn. Whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun. Days Inn.
Here's an update on our top story. Police now confirm the Bud Ice Penguin has been captured. Authorities say it is now safe to serve Bud Ice. That's right, just bring it all out in the open there. Nothing to worry about, everything's fine. And now, back to the music. Doobie, doobie, doo.
Drink Bud Ice, but beware the penguins. From coast to coast, we are there. Experienced.
They know that a win brings them one step closer to their ultimate goal.
Insightful.
That's the first time that George Steinbrenner ever thanked him or said that he did a good job.
It's sports journalism the way it's supposed to be.
And all they've really given us to believe in so far are new uniforms and a Japanese pitcher. As good as it gets.
Fox Sports News New York correspondent Michael Kay. From coast to coast, we are there.
Well, we welcome you back live to the Rosemont Horizon here on our IHL Turner Cup Playoff semifinal coverage here on Fox Sports Net. Milwaukee still leads 1-0 after 2 periods of play. We talked about the great game 1 last night in Detroit, the Vipers winning in triple overtime. They won again tonight, but also an interesting series, I think.
Off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
Here's an update on our top story. Police now confirm the Bud Ice Penguin has been captured. Authorities say it is now safe to serve Bud Ice. That's right, just bring it all out in the open there. Nothing to worry about, everything's fine. And now, back to the music. Doobie, doobie, doo.
Drink Bud Ice, but beware the penguins. From coast to coast, we are there. Experienced.
They know that a win brings them one step closer to their ultimate goal.
Insightful.
That's the first time that George Steinbrenner ever thanked him or said that he did a good job.
It's sports journalism the way it's supposed to be.
And all they've really given us to believe in so far are new uniforms and a Japanese pitcher. As good as it gets.
Fox Sports News New York correspondent Michael Kay. From coast to coast, we are there.
Well, we welcome you back live to the Rosemont Horizon here on our IHL Turner Cup Playoff semifinal coverage here on Fox Sports Net. Milwaukee still leads 1-0 after 2 periods of play. We talked about the great game 1 last night in Detroit, the Vipers winning in triple overtime. They won again tonight, but also an interesting series, I think, Cleveland and Orlando in the Eastern Conference.
Well, what we have there is a nice matchup, and so Mike's matchup from last year. It's a rematch, actually, and I think that's one where Orlando wants to kind of give Cleveland a little bit of taste of what they gave them the year before.
Yeah, no question. They opened up tonight in Orlando as the Cleveland Lumberjacks. An upset winner in round number 1 fell down early in this game. The pass from McDonough, Wansboro finishes, and it was 1-0 Solar Bears. In fact, it would be all Solar Bears tonight. They had that advantage frequently. They took advantage of it. Pat Mickish will score on the power play. And Cleveland trailed 2-0 after 1 period of play. Move it to the second period now. Hubie McDonough will get credit for this goal as the puck was worked in front of the net and it went off the defensive player's stick of Cleveland. And finally, Dave Mackey adds to the lead as the Solar Bears win by a final of, well, they were leading at that point, 4-0. It is now 5-0. Orlando well on their way to a victory in game 1. Cincinnati and Detroit, there you saw the game played last night. Cincinnati in triple overtime, the second longest game in IHL playoff history. When was the longest game, Mike Greenlay?
Well, it went all the way back to 1960.
And in that game, they played 4 overtimes. Here is a Look at the Eastern Conference brackets brought to you by U.S. Airways. Detroit and Cincinnati have played 2 games. Could be, you know, any way it goes. Detroit, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Orlando. Going to be an interesting final in the Eastern Conference. Elsewhere in the Western Conference, Game 1, Long Beach victorious over Kansas City 4-3. Game 2 to get underway later here tonight.
2 goals scored in the last minute of that game right there. The winning goal by Long Beach scored with 2 seconds left in the game. I think that just tells you how close that series is going to be, as well as how close the Western Conference is going to be as you look at it.
There was just the one upset in the Eastern Conference in the first round. 2 upsets in the Western Conference. Kansas City, the lower seed, to advance along with Milwaukee. And speaking of the Admirals, after 40 minutes of play here in their Game 2, they look to tie this series at 1 game apiece, and they lead Chicago with 20 minutes remaining.
Out of the blue, Upjohn invites me to help him test the new Rogaine. Okay. I hated this spot. I said yes. This new Rogaine Extra Strength for Men is more concentrated. It gets more to the root to grow more hair. 2 months in, it's working. My wife's saying something's happening, but maybe I'm just lucky. What about the other guys? Listen to this. 45% more hair than with original Rogaine. 45% more hair with the new Rogaine. It's the, ultimate spot remover.
We all have something to contribute. Some are blessed with speed. Some have guts. There are those with agility and others with power. But there is one thing we all share, a dream. And although it weighs only 30 pounds, it'll take the strength of an entire team to hoist it.
You don't have to like me.
Or you can. You don't have to be my friend.
But you might like me if you got to know me.
You don't have to be my roommate.
I am gonna be your neighbor. You don't have to run with me.
You really don't have to run away from me.
You may not like what I have to say.
But hear me.
Hear me.
Hear me out. And we're not all that different. I like good food.
Good music.
I love my mom. I want to fall in love.
Madly. I want a good job.
I want my kids to live in a world
where they are safe and loved
and respected for who they are.
You don't have to like me, but if you talk to me,
you might.
We can end prejudice if we talk to each other. Call. Tell us what you do.
Together we can build one America.
Home team's Fox Attitude. You're watching Fox Sports Detroit.
Well, as we mentioned, it's only 90 miles, and that man has colored his hair, we assume, for this series, and made his way down to work against those fans of the Chicago Wolves. And Milwaukee, as you know now, leads 1-0 after 2 periods of play. The physicality started up in the second period, Mike. The end result is there will be no power play for either team to start the third period, but Steve Molte given a 10-minute misconduct, and that hurts Chicago.
Well, it does. They are a deep team. They have a lot of goal scorers. They led the IHL in goals this year, but you don't want to lose an important player like Steve Molte, who led their team in goals. He also leads them in other capacities. He's great on the power play, so they're going to lose him for 10 minutes. They'll have to pull up and use some of that depth that they have.
Well, Chicago has outchanced Milwaukee so far here in Game 2 by a large margin, but they cannot solve Danny Lorenz.
Well, they can't. The thing is, the chances that they're getting are not from prime scoring places. This is likely the best of 2 or 3 chances that they had in the period, but everything else came from the perimeter, and if you shoot perimeter shots on a guy like Danny Lorenz, he will make the save. Here is likely the best opportunity they had all period, and Lorenz with the 2-pad stack was terrific here, and he has been all game long, as he has been all playoffs long. That's why they're going with the 1-goalie system. As you take a look at after 2 periods, the numbers.
Shots on goal, 29-14, and 12 of those 29 shots considered a prime scoring chance for Chicago. And as we mentioned earlier, no power play goals tonight, but for Chicago, no power play goals so far in the series. Why?
Well, the thing is, they're not getting the one thing as far as Milwaukee is concerned, they are keeping them to the outside. They are not allowing them. They're big men. Milwaukee has a lot of big players. They have a long reach, and they're cutting down those passing lanes, not allowing Chicago to move the puck.
Right.
You mentioned earlier that they are so good, so prolific at passing the puck, but if you can't pass the puck, then that's just going to cut you right down. They have to change their style a little bit, maybe take a page out of Milwaukee's book and start shooting the puck at the net and going for the rebound. Sometimes simple hockey is the key.
Now that is what John Anderson, I think, is talking about. Let's bring it back, simplify it, come out attacking in the third period, but they'll have to do it without their leading scorer, at least for the first 10 minutes.
U.S. Airways, offering service to Rome, Madrid, Paris, Frankfurt, Munich, and, beginning in the spring of '98, new service to London and Amsterdam.
Out of the blue, Upjohn invites me to help him test the new Rogaine. Okay. I hated this spot. I said yes. This new Rogaine Extra Strength for Men is more concentrated. It gets more to the root to grow more hair. 2 months in, it's working. My wife's saying something's happening, but maybe I'm just lucky. What about the other guys? Listen to this. 45% more hair than with original Rogaine. 45% more hair with the new Rogaine. It's the, ultimate spot remover.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big at Days Inn. Whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
Sports News Primetime. We are there.
Welcome back to the Rosemont Horizon. One of the interesting things about the configuration of this building is the fact that the locker rooms are at the end of this hallway, and when the teams leave the ice and when they come back onto the ice, the teams are separated by only about 10 feet of cement. And when you have a period that ended the way the second period did, that leads to a lot of interesting conversation between the two teams. Unfortunately, we can't air it on a family program such as this. Let's go back upstairs to Mike and Mike.
Well, thank you, JB. Here's the deal, though, Mike Greenlay. If you are going to cross that 10 feet of cement, do it after the period. That way you can give your skates to the trainer. He can resharpen them in the intermission. If you do it on your way out, you're in big trouble.
You are in big trouble. And the thing is, you've cooled down by that time anyways and ready to come out and have a good period.
Turner Cup, here we come.
I'm sure that's what Chicago would like, as would Milwaukee. Well, they have certainly done a good job this evening, has Milwaukee. And the thing is, when you have a team that is a tight checking team and you play that kind of system all year, when you move into the playoffs, you're not really changing your game plan at all. You've already played that kind of tight checking system. And that tight checking system will allow you to keep leads as they have all year. And it'll help them maybe here in the playoffs.
Now, you saw a moment ago Milwaukee's numbers after 2 periods leading in the regular season. It should be noted that Chicago led the IHL with the best record of coming back after trailing through 2 periods of play. 10 times in the regular season, Chicago won a game after they trailed through 40 minutes. An additional 2 times they won in the shootout, so they gained 22 points in the standings. That's amazing numbers when trailing after 2 periods. That's what they're going to try to do here tonight. There'll be no shootout. It'll be a Rogaine hair-raising finish of a different sort, if indeed we do reach an overtime period. Right now, though, 4-on-4 hockey. Rogers is in the box. Along with all tape for Chicago, Tomlak and Sabrin are in for Milwaukee. Sabrin also received a 10-minute misconduct at the 20-minute mark of the second period. Tomlak and Rogers both went 2 for each. Roughing was the call on those two combatants. Just underway here in the third period. Happy you're with us here tonight from the Rosemont Horizon. Our exclusive coverage of the IHL Turner Cup playoffs on Fox Sports Net. And we will take you all the way until the Turner Cup is raised for one team. Last week we had 16. Now we have 8 remaining in the quest for the 53rd Turner Cup. Marinucci in the neutral zone. Crosses into the offensive zone. Trying to work around McSween. Marinucci stops behind the net. Leaves it there for LaRouche to the point. Tilly, shot deflected. Nardella is tied up with McNeil. And Mike McNeil comes away with it. Al Sims said the only way we're going to win this series is to match their work ethic. And tonight, Milwaukee has matched the work ethic of Chicago at least through 41 minutes. Marinucci, time, ducks, and the shot fired high and wide. Controlled still by Chicago. Marinucci leaves it for his teammate. Coming towards the near side now. Baker spins, McSween on him. As tied up in front of the net was Bob Nardella, never got a shot away. Here's Felsner, he's got a man, flips it neatly across, and it bounced over the stick of Christian Frew. Felsner again. Out of the box comes Tomlak and Rogers has the puck. Overskates it momentarily. Crosses the line, looking towards Breslin. Trebojevic bumps him off the play. Felsner back to help. Trebojevic has scored the only goal in our contest here tonight. Game at 7:31 of the first period. Assist to Mike Tomlak. Now behind the net. Centering attempt once again broken up by Milwaukee. That time it was Kelly Fairchild. Berglund quickly back to Millimont. Cross ice pass to Pearson. Left at the blue line. Too far for Berglund, and here comes Fenton. Fenton looking towards Fairchild. In the trailer position. Spin shot. Deflected off the stick of Martin and out of play.
Well, John Anderson said that before the game, yesterday's game, pardon me, both teams hadn't played in a while, so they were rusty. And before tonight's game, he said you could see that. He felt that as the series went on, as the players got into this series, it would open up and you would see the skill level come out. And I don't think you've seen that until now. The third period here, this first shift or two in the third period, end-to-end action, both teams coming down with getting opportunities. John Anderson, the head coach of Chicago, feels that, and rightfully so, that the more wide open a series you have, the more it'll benefit his team. Milwaukee has been able, until this point, to keep it pretty close, tight checking.
Stephen Beauregard won Game 2 in the Manitoba series. He's looking to win his second game of the postseason. His high-flying forwards need to get him a couple of goals to do so. Beauregard cannot be blamed, though, for the only goal scored tonight. And Lorenz obviously has been perfect with 31 saves in the contest. McNeil, stick handling in traffic to the top of the circles now on the near side boards. Dragged down by Steve Martin's play will go right on. Tomlak is in there. Finally, the puck is frozen. And we will step aside. 16:24 remains here in the third period.
You haunt me, my friend. Everywhere I go, you're there. Kiev, Buenos Aires, Budapest. But not this time. At long last, victory is mine.
Drink Bud Ice, but beware the penguins.
Rough cut beefsteak, a snack you can really sink your teeth into.
When we improperly dispose of motor oil, paint, and toxic household chemicals, some of it ends up in our water, in our lakes and rivers and oceans. So in the end, the bodies of water we pollute may someday be our own. Call this number to find out how you can safely dispose of water pollutants. Because we all have a stake in keeping our water clean. If we all do a little, we can do a lot.
It's hard to find guys to play with them, but once you find the right people to play with guys like this, they can be so dangerous out there and help your team. And obviously, that line that they had out on the ice fed him properly. And he, within full stride, took that puck, broke in and scored, tying the game up.
His first full season in the International Hockey League, C-Mac, back in 92-93 with the Devils, had a career-high 37 goals in the NHL. LaRouche looked to center. Marinucci now on the line with Rogers and LaRouche, with Malte in the penalty box for another 3 minutes or so, serving the remainder of his 10-minute misconduct. Marinucci ahead. Rogers looking to feather the pass towards Steve LaRouche. Now in front of the net, LaRouche looking for a deflection, and he spins around like a rag doll and is sent down to the ice surface. A re-energized crowd here at the Rosemont Horizon. Game 2, Chicago won last night in Game 1. 3 goals by Chicago were enough for victory as they won the game 3-2. It's going to take at least 2 by one team here tonight. The decibel level is raised about tenfold all of a sudden. Offsides against Chicago. So the Admirals have seen this game tied at 1 by Alexander C-Mac.
It's the outrageous video that America can't stop talking about. Jerry Springer, too hot for TV. It's the explosive video with the most shocking footage the censors won't let you see. And you still can't find it in any store. It's racy. It's raucous. It's remarkable. It's way too hot to show you here. But order now and you'll see it all. Don't miss out. Jerry Springer, Too Hot for TV is only available through this exclusive TV offer. To get your copy, you gotta pick up the phone and call now. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-393-2211. That's 1-800-393-2211. Or send $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to Too Hot Video. P.O. Box 26277, San Diego, California 92196.
Fox Sports News. We are there. Weekend 6 to 8.
Now the IHL prides itself on family entertainment. Dad and son having a great time tonight here at the Rosemont Horizon. That is great to see. The Chicago Wolves, the only team in the sport of hockey in the postseason, as the Blackhawks playoff streak snapped at 29 straight years. C-Mac across the line, sending it towards the net. Poked aside by Lorenz, kept in at the blue line by Pearson, but only momentarily, as Tomlak hits it up ahead towards Eric Fenton. Pearson across the blue line, and knocked down quickly by McSween, and back the other way come the Admirals as Prue tumbles behind the play. And a whistle and a stoppage, and offsides call.
The Wolves have been able to do in this period what they hadn't been able to do all game, and that is use their speed to open up this hockey game, and C-Mac opens up their scoring because of that.
You spoke a moment ago about the Chicago Blackhawks. Alexander C-Mac knows about the NHL. Craig Hartsburg fired by the Blackhawks about a week ago after a disappointing regular season. And 2 IHL coaches have been mentioned as potential new head coaches in Chicago. Steve Ludzig of the Vipers and Kirk Fraser, Solar Bears head coach, who was the head coach prior in his career of the Milwaukee Admirals. Nice to see the IHL guys being recognized for their achievements.
Of course, both those guys also played for the Chicago Blackhawks for years.
On the near side, Felsner. Nelson tied up by Matt Martin. In to help his Baker. Puck is free. Watch out. Felsner couldn't get the shot away. Here's Shannon Finn. Finn to Dooling. Kicked it too far. Delayed penalty forthcoming against Chicago. Milwaukee will have the man advantage. Tripping is the call.
Well, a power play is huge at this point of the game. We've seen such a tight game. It was 1-0 for a majority of the hockey game into the third period, and finally it took until the third period for John Anderson to have his team get their first goal of the game. It's 1-1. Here's where the specialty teams can win and lose hockey games for you.
Now, we mentioned Milwaukee's, I guess you could fairly say, overachieving power play in the postseason. And compared to their regular season numbers, they have been extremely good. 25% coming into tonight. But no power play goals for either team in our contest this evening. Brent Peterson is an important part of the power play. So Sapola. Low shot on net. Oh! Sent through the crease by Eric Fenton. A wide open net behind Stefan Beauregard. And Fenton could not finish. A simple play again. Sapola just got the puck on net. Marinucci. Fairchild now has it. 10:32 remaining here in the third period. Tilly picks it up and gets it ahead. Fenton loved it and carried it too far. And so they'll whistle it down. 23 more seconds, Mike. Steve Malte and Ken Sabrin will come out of the penalty box, and Fenton angry at the official, angry with himself.
And I think more so at the fact that that last exchange down at the end of Chicago is something that might come back and haunt Milwaukee. Watch this, the shot, simple. Sapola from the point, deflected off the skate and right through the crease. Milwaukee just could not connect.
Well, he's known for his physical play, but Eric Fenton scored 20 goals in the regular season. He's had numerous opportunities in the postseason, has not been able to capitalize yet. Dahl clears for the Wolves. 50 seconds remaining on the penalty to Jamie Baker. Next whistle, Malte will come back on the ice. Nelson. Sapola has it. Jason Sapola circles at his own blue line. Marinucci right on him. Here's Martins to Marinucci. Deking in front, goes high, he scores! A short-handed goal for Chicago. Chris Marinucci has given the Wolves the lead. Second short-handed goal in as many nights for Chicago.
It's one of his strengths, the penalty kill. Sapola plays with it a little too long and gives them a 2-on-1 down quick into the zone. And actually, not only does he give the puck away, but by his sliding attempt, gets in the way of the goaltender and does not allow his own goaltender to get across the crease. So a double whammy, unfortunately for Sapola. And Marinucci all of a sudden turns this game right around.
Marinucci, with 3 shorthanded goals in the regular season, was one of a trio of players on Chicago to tally more than 1 shorthanded goal. Chicago leads 2-1. Seamack and Marinucci, the goal scorers. Marinucci's goal coming at 10:26. He was a star, and I mean star, at Minnesota Duluth. He gets the helper from Martins. He joined Brett Hall as 2 of the 4 Duluth players to score 30 or more goals in 2 seasons. The former Hobie Baker Award winner in the year 1994.
Well, specialty teams would come into play, but who would have thought that in a tight game in the 3rd period, someone would get a shorthanded goal to turn this game around. 2 unanswered goals for Chicago, and they lead it now 2-1.
Chicago, an excellent team in the regular season, holding leads. They did not lead, though, after the 2nd period here, but remember we mentioned in the regular season, Chicago came back 10 times to be victorious when trailing after 2 periods. They're now 8 minutes and 46 seconds away from doing it tonight here in Game 2 of the semifinals of the Western Conference.
If you're a soccer fan, you need Fox Sports World. Live soccer coverage from the world's greatest leagues.
Ferdinand in trouble, and it's over, Moss!
Plus, up-to-the-minute international sports news and global events.
Have you ever seen better?
Time to take action. 24 hours a day. World-class soccer. World-class events. Fox Sports World. Call your cable operator if you want world-class soccer and more. Call 1-800-FOX-WORLD.
Your parents are always bugging you to get out of the house and get some exercise. But you've got your own way of doing things. You're your own person. You don't need to follow the crowd or the rules. And the last people you want to be like are your parents.
Johnny, tell them how they won.
Tonight's Days In check of the game delivered by the sniper, Steve Malte. Let's take a listen. That's tonight's check of the game. Check into Days In, the official hotel of the IHL. Everybody has to hit in the postseason. Rogers circling, leaves it. Long shot by Martin, blasted wide. Dahl just sends it back in. Behind and around the net now, Steve Malte. So Chicago comes back from a 1-0 deficit, and Malte had nothing to do with either of the goals. Sabrin is also back out and involved in physical play quickly with Steve LaRouche.
Here's a point where Milwaukee will have to, in some way, open it up enough to allow themselves to score. But when you open it up, all you do is give a team like Chicago an incredible advantage. It has been in this 3rd period that they have come back to score 2 unanswered goals, and it's been the most wide open period we've seen so far this game.
Now, Chicago certainly came into the postseason the hottest team in the International Hockey League. And counting the playoffs now, Chicago has won 9 straight games, 11 straight here at the Rosemont Horizon. Tuttle across the line. On the backhand, Peterson tied up by Milwaukee. Puck in tight quarters to the side and now behind Beauregard. Hussey comes in from the blue line. Through the stick of Steve Tuttle. It was on the far side post. Milwaukee, Baker, back tying up their respective Milwaukee Admirals foes here this evening. Chicago with 55 wins in the regular season. In the month of April, they were 8-1. Earlier tonight, John Anderson, or earlier today, pardon me, Mike, John Anderson told us that his team is playing as smart as we've ever played. We haven't reached the pinnacle yet, but he didn't say as well as we've ever played. He said as smart.
Quite often, smart hockey in the playoffs is what gets you through certain situations, and they have played smart this evening. That's why they were able to hold on until the 3rd period to explode for a couple goals.
Well, he said, as Doolin hammers Matt Martin, he said that smart, for the most part, means that they have been responsible defensively. 2 mistakes made in the defensive zone last night, Anderson said, led to the 2 Milwaukee goals. Maybe you could say only 1 mistake made here tonight. You start looking at the fact that Milwaukee has only had 16 shots on goal to Chicago's 35. And the Wolves lead 2-1. 7 minutes remain. LaRouche across the line. As that one got high on Danny Lorenz and trickled to the side. Malte looking for it. Bouncing puck. Nardella not able to keep it in at the blue line. And we'll have the face-off after the offside call.
Well, just sheer chances alone is going to tell you that if you outshoot a team 30 or 40 to 10 or 15 or 20, look at most goaltenders, their save percentages are generally around the 90%, which means they stop generally 9 out of 10 shots. I mean, it's pretty simple math. If you get enough opportunities, you're going to put the puck in the net 9 out of those 10 times. There's the story right there, the 20-shot difference in the hockey game. Although it is only a 1-goal difference, but in a tight hockey game, that could mean a lot.
Well, Milwaukee had a lot more shots on net last night. Wendell Young made 28 saves. Beauregard tonight has made 15. There's a shot from a bad angle. Sticked aside by Stefan Beauregard. Milwaukee trying to avoid going to the Bradley Center for the Game 3 to be contested on Tuesday, down in this best-of-7 series 0-2. Here's a 2-on-1. Seamack and Pearson towards Seamack. Couldn't decide if he could take it on the forehand or the backhand. Rebound, score! Seamack got it back to Pearson. It is 3-1 Chicago. The Wolves have exploded here in the third period.
Pearson with 7 goals in 5 of his last 7 games extending into the regular season. And Pearson will get the puck back and put it upstairs. Good defensive play here as Seamack can't get the bouncing puck. The defenseman going down, but then watch Pearson on the other side of the net. It just comes across, and that's right upstairs underneath the bar. And Pearson has extended Chicago's lead by 1. They now lead at 3-1. A nice 2-goal cushion.
So 3 minutes and 25 seconds after Marinucci shorthanded made it 2-1. Pearson gives Chicago the 2-goal cushion. That may be all they need to win this game. Baker kicked aside by Danny Lorenz. Stole through 40 minutes. Chicago has struck 3 times here in the third. Baker now waiting. Shot just grazes off the right pad of Milwaukee's goalie. Now Millimak, a high drive. And gloved by Lorenz. The rebound cleared by Mike Tomlak.
All game long, Chicago didn't really look worried. They know they are an explosive hockey team, and they know that they can come and score a few goals if this game opens up properly.
Well, remember we talked about depth being such a key factor for Chicago, Mike. The top line, LaRouche, Malte, Rogers, all kept off the scoring column tonight. But Seamack now has a goal and an assist. Marinucci has a goal. Pearson gets credit for the 3rd goal at 13:51 from Martins and Alexander Seamack. The depth, the difference here in the 3rd period as Chicago has taken control of Game 2.
We all have something to contribute. Some are blessed with speed. Some have guts. There are those with agility and others with power. But there is one thing we all share, a dream. And although it weighs only 30 pounds, it'll take the strength of an entire team to hoist it.
I started with the original Rogaine. I wanted to fix this, and Rogaine was starting to work. But they said, Mike, switch over to the new Rogaine. That's when my hair coach started noticing.
Looks good, Dad.
With this new extra strength for men, they say 45% more hair is the average. I think I'm gonna beat that. Every Sunday, I got 60,000 friends staring at my head, so more hair is a big win.
The new Rogaine, 45% more hair.
I mean, consider the alternative.
It's tonight's Bud Ice play of the game. Chris Marinucci shorthanded to make it 2-1.
What a nice play here. They work it in, beat it across the net, and he'll go upstairs as Lorenz cannot get his body all the way across. And that is the difference. The game-winning goal as it stands.
That's tonight's Bud Ice play of the game. Bud Ice, the official beer sponsor of the IHL. Don McSween hit away from the play, and there is blood coming from the facial area of Don McSween. Up above the eye, he was cut.
He got in a little mix up there with Tim Breslin along the boards. The cut above the eyes generally bleed quite a bit. Looks pretty bad, but most of these guys have a few zippers above their eyes around the eyebrow area. We hope that that isn't any more serious than we think it is. McSween, one of the speedier defensemen for Milwaukee, one of the more offensive-minded of the defensive core.
Now it's going to bring up an interesting situation here with 4:37 remaining. They're going to give a double minor for high sticking to Tim Breslin.
Well, they have the discretion to either do that or give him a 5-minute major. If they deem that it was unintentional and it's cut the player, then they can give the 4 minutes and go with it there.
Now remember the 5-minute major given in the Kings Blues series to Sean O'Donnell, I believe it was, after Courtnall ran the net. And the Los Angeles Kings had led 3-0, and St. Louis scored 4 power play goals in just over 3 minutes time. What is advantageous for Chicago in this situation with the double minor is that only 2 power play goals potentially could be scored, as opposed to the 5-minute major where it's unlimited.
Well, in this situation, 2 is exactly what they would like. Although you are right, after that it would even things up, but we still have to see it happen. Milwaukee has had a lot of power play chances and has not converted on as many as they would have liked. Breslin, last year's IHL Man of the Year for his contributions off the ice as well as on the ice. Not the type of player to, he's a intense player, but he's not the type of player to do anything deliberate like that. I'm sure the stick may have just come up unintentionally there in the battle along the boards, and McSween was the one catching the brunt of the stick. Hope that he is all right. They will need him in this series. Look at that. They have notched one of the captains off, and they would like to knock off another one of the captains. The captain of the ship right there, Al Sim.
Tonight is Crunchberry night.
It must be. They want to bring in the true meaning of this series, and that is the crunch. They knew that it was going to be physical, and they knew that there would be a stream back and forth between the penalty boxes. But Milwaukee has their opportunity here. They cannot complain about not having some opportunities on the power play. As Wendell Young looks on.
So here's the situation. Chicago leads by 2 goals. They have outshot Milwaukee 40-17. There's 4:37 on the clock and 4 minutes of power play time. 0 for 5 tonight, and not a lot generated with the man advantage for Milwaukee, who were so good with the power play against Houston in round number 1. Dahl comes back to get it. Kept in by Jarrett Doolin. Behind the net, Felsner in the skates, now on the stick. Felsner waiting. Brings it up to the top of the circle. Now gets it down to Doolin. Doolin trying to wait patiently. Dahl forced the issue. Felsner waiting again. Fires it at net. Pad save. Rebound flipped high and out of play. Never touched Beauregard, so the face-off is going to come back into the neutral zone.
The one right before it did, though, and he didn't know where it was. That one fed between the legs by Felsner, and the flurry really almost created a goal. Watch, Felsner will fire that, and then it'll be cleared. Felsner will get it back again. This one just hits Beauregard. He didn't know where it was. It's the rebound here that Tomlak puts up into the stands. Some good opportunities there for Milwaukee. Keep in mind that Al Sims isn't against taking the goaltender out. You might see that happen in the last couple minutes of the game, since that will still be a power play for Milwaukee.
Well, last night Milwaukee did pull the goaltender. They were trailing by the same score, 3-1, and they scored a power play goal with the 6-on-4 advantage. Then when the man came out of the box, though, Milwaukee unable to get another goal scored with their goaltender Danny Lorenz pulled. So exactly what you said, Mike. Last night it worked. Ryan Felsner was the man who scored with 42 seconds left. Will it work again tonight? Collision between Rogers and Nelson, and Chicago comes away with it. Drop pass, high shot over the glove hand of Lorenz, and Nelson picks it up. Nelson read perfectly by Tilly and sent back down. 2:25 remains in the double minor to Breslin. 3 minutes now remains in regulation time here from suburban Chicago. Puck deflects into the bench area of Milwaukee. Here's the question now, and we'll look ahead, even though it's still a tight game. In game 3, will it be Stefan Beauregard in the net, or will John Anderson come back and go to Wendell Young?
I don't see any reason why he would not go back to Wendell Young. Wendell Young has won 3 games in the playoffs, and Beauregard will have won his 2nd if he wins this evening. He said he wants to keep both of these guys rested. A lot of guys like to go with the one goaltender system. He feels that these goaltenders being a little more experienced, and I use that nicely to say that they are a little older, he wants to keep them both fresh.
Now Wendell Young, his 14th year of professional hockey. Beauregard and Young both came back from late season injuries, and Anderson said to us this morning that might have been a blessing in disguise. Both have come back, played well. Wendell was a bit shaky at first. Beauregard has been outstanding. He's played the best he has all year since the rest. LeBlanc came in, got him some wins, and now these guys fresh for the postseason run. But again, it is unique, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Mike, that a coach doesn't want to ride the hot hand, a la Mike Vernon last year with the Red Wings, that a coach doesn't want to ride the hot hand through the postseason.
Well, even last year, if you look, the Detroit Vipers in the IHL did actually win with a kind of a 2-goalie system, although Steve Ludzig did decide to go at times with the hot hand. He wouldn't just switch them back and forth. He would maybe play Jeff Reese about 2 or 3 games, then go to Rich Perrant for a couple games and then come back. So if you look back at it, you can see that the Detroit Vipers did use a 2-goalie system. Maybe Chicago's John Anderson thinks that maybe he can win with that.
They have been perfect with it so far, and Beauregard looking for the victory here in game 2.
Michael Jordan, UNCF, take 1.
We're here to tell you about the College Fund. It was set up to help deserving kids get a chance to be what they want to be. Are there any future doctors in the house?
Yeah!
Any scientists?
Yeah!
What about teachers?
Yeah!
All right, now who's going to play professional basketball? Come on. It's a good job. Please join me and support the College Fund. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah!
Saturday night, Mike and I will be in Cleveland, Ohio for Orlando-Cleveland Game 4 in this Eastern Conference semifinal. Orlando victorious tonight by a score of 6-1 over the Lumberjacks. So they lead that best of series 1-0. Vipers and the Cyclones are tied at 1 after Detroit got the victory tonight. Chicago looking to go up in this series 2-0.
The goaltender is out, and Milwaukee trying to do the same thing that they did last evening, and that is with a 6-on-4 advantage because of the power play that they do have. They will try and come within 1. They have just under 2 minutes on the power play left.
Also should be noted that the first power play has come to an end, so there won't be a possibility for the 2 power play goals. Just 1. They'll take it, though, and get close in front of the net. Loose puck. Beauregard freezes it. Dooling and Peterson were on the doorstep. Centering pass by Nelson, handled neatly by Chicago.
And keep in mind, the good advantage for Chicago is that they can just dump the puck down the ice at will. A lot of times when you're even strength and they pull the goaltender out, you have to get over that red line because you don't want the icing call to bring the faceoff all the way back down. But when you're shorthanded, you can just dump the puck all the way down the ice without worrying about it coming back down as a faceoff. So some free chances at that wide open yawning net at the other end of the ice. But keep in mind a 2-man advantage, 6-on-4 for Milwaukee for another minute 44.
Face-off won by Milwaukee, by Jamie Baker of Chicago. He's a good face-off guy. Sapola, high shot. That's not the shot they want. Wide of the net also. Dueling. He'll look towards the point, and Jason Sapola waits. There's the one they're looking for. They score! The low shot on net. Beauregard feels he was interfered with, and the puck was kicked in, but nonetheless, as Beauregard is out of his mind right now in disgust.
He's got a 10-minute misconduct.
The Admirals have pulled to within 3-2 the score.
26, Beauregard has a misconduct.
That will not be an unsportsmanlike, which would be a 2-minute penalty. It's a misconduct. But you have to keep in mind that near the end of the season, the Chicago Wolves were nailed with some pretty well, I can see what happened right there. Steve Martins came and brushed him across Peterson came across, and actually it's his own player. That's his own player that brushed him. It was Matt Martin who got pushed by Peterson, and I think that's pretty much fair in love and war right there.
Yeah. Didn't look that bad from our angle here, Mike.
Watch where the goaltender is, Beauregard. He's out cutting down the angle, and so he's pretty much at the top of his crease, and he thought that Peterson's the one who pushed him. Actually, that's a very good play. You can get away with it, and Sapola brings them within 1, but keep in mind, at the end of the season, Chicago, near the end of the season, had a couple games where goals were allowed where they felt, and even some video replay may have supported that were allowed that really probably shouldn't have been. That is a kind of a sticking point with Chicago right now because it cost them the Huber Trophy, or a chance at it, Long Beach winning it, and that cost a lot of the players on the team bonuses. So kind of a touchy situation there near the end of the season, and you can see why sometimes goals or disallowed goals are different.
4, 13, 27, 29.
What he's calling out are numbers that were on the ice when the goal was scored, because one of those guys has to go in the box and serve the misconduct for their goaltender.
Well, it'll go as a power play goal by Brent Peterson at 17:57 of the third period. Jarrett Dueling will gain the assist. And so now Milwaukee is pulled to within 1. Their goaltender is back in the net, and there's plenty of time remaining with 2:03 on the clock.
It's run and gun, baby. They're going to be dumping that puck and using that line, that top line that we've seen do such good work out there. Felsner, Nelson, and on the other side, Dueling.
Jason Sapola also gains an assist on the last goal by Milwaukee. There goes Lorenz as quickly the Admirals get the puck deep in the Chicago zone. And they've got the extra attacker on the ice. And lots of time. 1:45 on the clock. Retreating is Christian Prue. Hussey up the boards to Peterson. Bounces over his stick, Nardella. Spins, tries to clear. Bouncing puck now in the zone. Dueling. Not able to get there first. LaRouche spins. Chicago gains possession. Nardella fires towards net. Wide. Touched up by Steve Tuttle. Icing waved off, though.
It went through the crease.
Now Milwaukee trying to gain it. 1 minute and 7 seconds. Back in the neutral zone. Felsner across the line. Flips it. Shot just wide by Peterson. To the stick side. Tuttle through the legs of Brent Peterson. Sapola towards the net. Loose in front. Shot save! And finally the whistle will sound. Stephen Beauregard still trying to hold on. Oh my!
Referee Rob Martel giving them every opportunity, not blowing the whistle early, waiting for that puck to be frozen. What a couple of fantastic saves by Beauregard in the crease. as they jammed away at it. They gave it everything they had in that last sequence, but could not put the puck in the net. Taking a look at it, the puck will get centered. Here's a shot by Sapola. It's deflected back into the slot, and it's shot back in. Watch this save right here. Blocker save right there by Beauregard. Then they jam away at it. It's underneath the defenseman, not the goaltender. That's why Martel, you can see him on the side of the screen. He is not blowing the whistle until he sees that the goaltender has it, because the referee does not want to blow the whistle if the defenseman has it in the crease. We saw a penalty shot early in the playoffs given at 0 seconds of the game between Houston and Milwaukee. Almost had something similar there.
Cleared again. Wide of the net. This will be an icing. Sapola quickly back to touch up. 37.9 remains.
Well, you see Steve Martin's out there. And you also see Jamie Baker out there. Both guys are centermen. Both guys will play center, and that's because if Jamie Baker were for some reason get thrown out of the faceoff dot, you have another centerman out there to take the draw.
Nelson will take the faceoff for Milwaukee.
And they threw them both out. And there goes Martins. Another faceoff man to take the draw.
Felsner, a good faceoff man himself, against Martins. Good officiating a moment ago. Good coaching.
Well,
now a second forward.
They don't have 3 centermen out there, I don't think.
So Breslin will take the draw now against Brent Peterson. They toss to him. Let's drop the puck and get her going. They do. Milwaukee trying to control. Martins quickly through his man and able to get the puck back into the neutral zone. Sapola pressured. Now Nelson hits it up to Peterson. Peterson across to Steve Tuttle. Tuttle across the line. Driven into the sideboards by Martin. 16 seconds now remains. Kevin Dahl brings it ahead. Martins just gets it to neutral ice. Milwaukee to the near side. Flipped in one last time. 5 seconds to play. The horn will sound. Chicago, with 3 goals in the third period, takes a 2-0 series advantage lead. And it all continues on Tuesday night at the Bradley Center. This is what playoff hockey is all about. A wise man once told me, Mike, it's not hockey, it's playoff hockey.
Well, you'll see a lot of toughness in this series.
Ten times in the regular season, Chicago came back after a deficit through 2 periods. They do it tonight and win their 12th straight game at home and 10th straight game overall, and become a perfect 5-0 in the postseason. Nelson and Dahl will be able to continue their conversation in just a couple of days.
These 2 teams play Tuesday and then again Thursday. Whether there's games after that, and there they've crossed out Crunchberries. Only 2 more captains left. Well, but I think Milwaukee Admirals have something to say about that, and at the Bradley Center are pretty successful against Chicago.
41 shots for Chicago, 21 for Milwaukee. 3-2 last night, 3-2 tonight. Chicago 2 victories away from the Western Conference Finals.
If handheld trimmers get you down, call this number for free details about the revolutionary DR trimmer mower. The DR rolls light as a feather on 2 big wheels, trims around rocks, along fences, walls, and buildings. Plus, the DR mows lawns, fields, even roadside ditches without struggle. So call toll-free now for a free catalog about the revolutionary DR, the DR Trimmer Mower.
Why is Days Inn the official hotel of the International Hockey League? Maybe it's because they can check in any city where the IHL plays. Or Days Inn's over 1,700 locations. Or maybe it's because they always save big at Days Inn. Whatever the reason, Days Inn is where the IHL stays when they're off the ice. Wherever you go, follow the sun to Days Inn.
Busy. Action. Reaction.
Oh, baby.
Woo. Sports satisfaction.
Fox Sports News. Prime time.
Weeknights at 10.
The IHL Turner Cup playoffs are brought to you by Rough Cut Beef Steak. Beef up with Rough Cut at a convenience store near you. Days Inn, the official hotel of the IHL. And by Mission Hockey, brave new ice hockey since 1998.
They played 12 times in the regular season. The two teams were separated by 3 total goals. And now, through 2 games in this best-of-7 series, a 1-goal difference has been enough. Both nights, Chicago wins again as they did in Game 1, 3-2 this evening.
Well, Chicago has to go back and play in the Bradley Center. That's Milwaukee's barn. They are going to have a tight one, I think, there. You may even see this series come back to the horizon.
Well, our Bauer player of the game tonight, Alexander Seamack, who had a goal and an assist. He had the first goal of the evening for Chicago. He is our Bauer player of the game. Bauer, leave an impression. So Chicago wins again and the streak continues. 5-0 in the postseason, 12-0 at home in the last dozen games. They defeat the Milwaukee Admirals by a final score of 3-2. Don't forget our continuing coverage of the IHL Turner Cup playoffs will take us to Cleveland, Ohio next weekend for Game 4 between the Orlando Solar Bears and the Cleveland Lumberjacks in the Eastern Conference semifinal series. Milwaukee stifled Chicago through 40 minutes, but in the last 20 minutes, Chicago showed why they were the best offensive team in the International Hockey League. They win Game 2. For Mike Greenland, Jim Blaney, Mike Goldberg saying so long, everybody.
We have delayed.